one of these yet, and I've been saving a couple of them.
Who makes that one?
This is the Placencia.
Oh, okay.
I've not enjoyed one yet. Here, I got a backup though. I got the Aquatine.
Yeah.
Gotta have my Roma Craft now.
This is a Roma house, boy.
So
yeah, Roma Craft is the shit.
So I gotta be honest, I wasn't gonna smoke Aroma, but I figured because Chris is here and it's a good night, I feel like it's a good night. 50.
Awesome.
Yeah, one of those Antonios or Hoyas.
Yeah, 50. 55.
Those Quattro Cincos are really good. I like those a lot.
Yeah, this is one of those ones that came in the gaudy $10,000 white humidor.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you buy the $10,000 white humidor and you get 20 sticks for free.
Ooh, nice.
I didn't buy the fucking humidor.
I was all damn, dude. That's a hell of a humidor.
No. Dude, like you'd expect it to be fucking like ivory or something. It's not. It's just wood.
Oh, I'm glad to hear it, Mike. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got some beer for you there, Phil. Cigar City Brewing.
Oh, which one is that? I've had their stuff.
This is the Guayabera.
Okay, I've had the porter, I think, the stout, one of the two.
I like the Funk Nasty IPAs. So their High Ally is one of my favorites. I got a sampler pack.
I can't do IPAs, man. I'm not an IPA guy. I'm like really not even that much of a beer guy.
Yeah, it's
I don't know. I'm a liquor man.
I like my whiskeys. I like Scotch. Really, I drink a lot of Scotch.
The notification hath been sent.
Ooh, Herr Wagner's in the house. We're 2 minutes 25 in. That's crazy. I thought we were gonna BS a little before, but fuck it. Baptism.
Well, we were talking about what we were smoking, and I didn't want to cut that out. You know,
we can do it again. We can do it again. I can fake the excitement,
but I don't want to.
What? Roma Craft? God damn.
Guys, Justin Smith just tagged me in a post.
I did.
You did.
I'm putting the link out.
Putting the link out on the line.
Your name is everywhere, Justin. Everywhere. That's awesome.
I know. Man. Is it too much?
No. Because you probably didn't mean to. I've got to assume, but you're kind of like one of the pioneers of the forward moving of more people doing podcasts, the magazine, all that accumulation of knowledge that you're putting out, whether it's your own personal knowledge or you're still the avenue of people being able to get that knowledge. I don't know. I think it's fucking great, man.
I concur wholeheartedly on the pioneer.
That's literally just. I want to help the hobby, man. I want to make it better. I want to put out awesome content that's actually practical and useful for people, and isn't like, follow me and one day I'll give you my secret. You know.
Yeah. That's
Sean. Delirium. I've had some of the Delirium stuff. The Delirium stuff is good. I don't remember which one I had. It's been a few years. It's funny enough. I'm not a beer guy, but I used to work for a Budweiser distributor. So you would think that I had tried everything that we had. Not the case, dude. Staff meetings. Because we used to drive up to Charleston to do company meetings. It literally open bar in the back. Any beer you want, drink as much as you want. It was dangerous. And then they sent us home. They'd be like, "Hey, have a nice hour and a half drive back." Right.
Drive safe.
I'll be careful.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. All right. So Chris is drinking Cigar City. Beautiful. Justin, what are we drinking?
Water.
My man.
No 7-Up tonight?
I don't have we don't keep soda in the house. We'll keep Diet Coke with lime, which I'm not that big of a fan of. So it's either that, wine, or water.
Wine would be appropriate.
I don't really feel like drinking any wine right now.
Hey, I gave you that bottle of Carpet Club, right?
Yes.
Okay.
You did. I was like, what bottle?
Yeah, honestly, my brain skipped out on that one. So
No, we haven't opened it yet. Katie wants to. I'm like, save it. I don't know when we're gonna open it, but we're gonna open it.
just drink it. When you guys have a nice evening.
Right. That's why I didn't want to just bust it open on a Tuesday. You know?
I got you.
I picked up a bunch of wine today. Me and my wife, like a bunch of different kinds. I was like, oh man, I'm gonna have some drinks tonight. And I was like, oh, these beers, they match perfectly with the theme.
Are you gonna go between cigars and cigarettes the whole time too? Chris?
Oh yeah.
No, but I may have like an appetizer and then a dessert. You know,
That's what Phil does. He just like one in each hand. He's like,
during an average week, I don't smoke any cigarettes. I rarely smoke a cigar even during the week.
mm-hmm.
But on the weekend, it's all the intake of all the environments, all of it, same time.
The vices. So what's funny is my mom chimed in on the last Snakes and Stogies because she wanted to like see what it was all about, and she messaged me the next day and she's like, I watched about 30 minutes of Snakes and Stogies. She says, I thought it was great. I thought you guys had a great thing going. I was like, oh, thanks, Mom. That's really appreciated. She goes, but you smoke too much.
This is great, but backhanded comment incoming.
Mm-hmm. Well, like I was the little kid because my mom smoked when I was a kid. My dad still smokes, and my mom smoked when I was a kid, and I was that little kid that was like, "Mom, stop smoking cigarettes. They're really, really bad, and you're gonna die." And like now, I'm like,
I'm gonna die anyways.
Mom, you got a cigarette I can borrow?
Yep. Carly loves my mom voice. My mom actually sounds nothing like that. So
so y'all got a theme for tonight's show or just bullshitting?
I think we're just kind of, I don't know. Phil had mentioned something earlier. I'm kind of down for whatever. I'm ready.
I wanted to bring up, and it wasn't like a cocky thing, but I wanted to bring up how I know all three of us for a fact have had a species that we've kept that has done really, really well, however we have it set up, whether it be simple or elaborate or whatever. We have that animal and it's thriving in our care, and it happened to produce, or the pair happened to produce, excuse me, and how awesome that is. And I wanted to get stories and see if other people want to chime in and just talk about how, you know, I had these two animals. I didn't even know they were a pair, or, you know, somebody had me hold on to their snake for a long weekend during a hurricane or something. I mean, I figured that was an interesting topic, should we decide to talk about it. But I'm just dying to bite into this 50.
Yeah, I'm curious about that.
Based off of your suggestion, Justin, I bought a Calibri V cutter and then immediately lost it. Phil, you had made a comment many years ago on the dark web about the feeling of the material that it was made out of.
Yes.
And you are not wrong. And I literally was like, Britt, like my wife, I was like, hey girl, what's this feel like? And she was all like,
that's it. Not to get personal, but she knew the textured material.
Exactly. Immediately. It was,
of course.
Yep. It's a very, that material that
like
rubbered up.
The coating?
The silicone.
Yeah. The silicone.
That silicone, it is a particular grade of silicone that is usually used in, I don't want to say medicinal, but it's particularly used in a
personal care,
an at-home capacity.
Yeah.
But it's unique to that thing.
Yeah. It's like high density, but yet still soft. Perfect for whatever.
You know, certain things
you get the beat off. Kung fu grip on it. You don't have to worry about losing it.
Yeah.
It probably lends itself well to non-friction inducing materials. I don't know.
Absolutely.
My only gripe with them is I wish they had some sort of lock, because I can't put this thing in my pocket without it opening up, and then I worry when I go to grab it that I'm going to stick my finger right in there and just snip.
And reveal the shit out of yourself.
Yep. Put a pee hole in my finger.
I was afraid that I was gonna like sit down in a chair and it was gonna bend. You know?
Long yet forgiving.
There you go, Carly.
What's up, Dan? Oh, that was kind of quick. I was like, bleep.
So, kind of a side note, 20 years in this, I've been doing 14 years old was when I bred my first day geckos.
Nice.
20 years later, I vended my first reptile show last weekend.
Excellent.
How was that?
Congrats.
So it was with Sean and Lori with the Herps group, and they are fucking spectacular. I think Joe even did a podcast with Sean. They care so much about their vendors and the quality of their venue. That they don't let just anybody vend.
Cool.
There's some level of vetting that goes into what you're bringing, why you're bringing it, why you need multiple tables, and I thoroughly enjoyed meeting with people, but the quality of the vendorship, I guess, was just out of this world, man. I've been to a lot of their shows, but then actually working with the guys, everybody's there to help you. Nobody's there to outsell anybody. Everybody asks questions. Everybody wants to buy stuff from each other. Everybody wants to trade stuff, which was a blast. It was really cool.
So
I've heard a lot of really good things about that one.
So Friday was busy vendor to vendor?
Oh yeah. Well, no. So I didn't set up until Saturday morning, just because of work and stuff. But Saturday morning before the show, man, it was almost like a pre-party.
Ooh, Velvet Rat.
Yes.
Yeah.
Any of that Unico series stuff from Jura State, man, it's a freaking banger. And you know what's funny is we have a Jura State event coming up on the 7th at work, and those are pretty awesome. You should, because the rep is like smoke whatever you want. It's on me, and so I'm like grabbing like T52s and number 9s and Velvet Rats, and I'm just like smoking like 8 of them a night.
Just line their pockets.
Yeah. And they usually give me a handful of something to take with me when I get home just for working the event. Events are the
Jura
best.
State does a really good job of hitting the whole gamut. Obviously, they're kind of like, I guess they're one of the bigger names. They have some really standout stuff.
What's up, Hen Dog?
My boy Henry in here.
Hen Dog's here.
Hey, Cheesy.
Henny. Sipping on Henny. Yeah, Jura State, and their stuff is, they got a portfolio that's massive. That's why they're so popular, because like you were saying, they have something that appeals to everyone. You know, Acid is easily the Bud Light of cigars. It is the most popular cigar of all time. Like,
yeah.
It will never be beat. It beats Macanudos. It beats Romeos. Like, I'm sorry, as much as I kind of hate to admit it, like the flavored stuff sells really well. Like I said, it's the Bud Light. It not everyone likes it. Even if you don't smoke them all the time, someone gives you one, you're like, all right. And they're not that bad. It's just,
you got to make money.
Yeah.
I mean, my beautiful wife for Valentine's Day went to my cigar shop, and they don't know who she is. She's never bought cigars there, and she was like, "Yeah, I just want to give my husband just one cigar. You know, we'll smoke it tonight, have a glass of wine, Valentine's Day bullshit." And
nice.
She was like, "Yeah, just give me your best-selling cigar." So I still have a beautifully wrapped Acid Cuba, just waiting for me.
See, I don't mind the flavored stuff if you can get your hands, like if you have a shop that carries Jura State and they carry the Deadwood tobacco company stuff. That's like the Fat Bottom Betty, Crazy Alice, Sweet Jane. Those are really solid for a flavored cigar. Like the tobacco quality in them is light years better than what's in the acids.
Yeah.
The acids, man, I just smoke them now. Like, have you ever had? I think Liquid is the acid that it's not flavored at all. Like, it's just a cigar, and it tastes like freaking cardboard. I smoked it. I literally took 2 puffs and fucking bailed on it, dude. Well, horrible.
Not to change off Jura State because they're probably my favorite producer, but I will say that this Monte Cristo band came off perfect.
Oh, nice.
Perfect.
That's my only complaint with Roma is these things are on for life.
On for life.
Yeah.
These things ain't coming off.
There's actually a metal rod that goes between that entire cigar holding that fucking thing on.
Yeah. Mike asked if we all saw the video of the towel being pulled out of the carpet, which I know Phil has an opinion on because we had talked about it.
Yeah.
Carly asked who else thinks that snake died. I don't think it did. Really?
I don't think it woke up.
Ooh.
Why?
Because I am not a vet. I am not a vet tech. I am not a scientist. I am not a herpetologist. But I know damn well that snakes do not do well under anesthesia. And
They don't.
They don't.
Specifically don't.
They don't wake up. So when you look at the snake at first, you see that they have its mouth open and they're holding its mouth open and they have their fingers behind the teeth and everything is medically sound in the video. That snake is lifeless. And like
under anesthesia.
No. Right, that's what I'm getting at. So I have friends that have used gas to knock out snakes, but they're still awake. They still know that something's going on. They still have a little bit of movement to them. And then they just let the snake do its thing and the gas wears off and the snake wakes up. That snake was lifeless. So I would
say it's too much anesthesia.
Oh yeah. And I'm wondering if they would. Here's my thing. Normally when you have a video like that, and they have the after thing of like the owner holding it or like it in its enclosure, or like, let's say it was a wild animal, the scientists releasing it back into the wild, free willy, you know? No, you didn't get any of that. You saw a lifeless snake like this on the table.
Yeah. Kind of didn't really think about it like that.
I just got flashbacks to when that little chondro of mine ate a decent chunk of paper towel.
So do you want me to get on that soapbox and freak
Go
out?
for it.
So for those of you who have
let it fly.
All right. So for those of you who have not seen this video, basically it was sent to me from a non-snake friend who is pro snake. We'll call it that. And I watched this video, and I guess CBS Australia. Clearly, it is in Australia. They have Australian accents, and it's a carpet python. It appears to be a large jungle. If my memory serves me correct, people who have seen it.
It looked like a coastal or something.
Yeah, coastal. Okay.
I guess it depends on where they were. I don't know. It looked like a coastal.
But it's a big carpet. It's definitively a big carpet. And it is on the operating table in a vet's clinic. And there are several people around in scrubs with gloves. And they have a ventilator down the glottis with like almost like a tongue depressor so that it stays flat. And then one tech is holding the snake's mouth open. And they have what appeared to be a very rigid endoscope, like straight endoscope, no bendy, no flexy, almost like a broom handle. And they have it all the way down the snake. And then the camera zooms back and you see the massive lump in the snake. And it looked like there was almost some like medical tape wrapped around the section of where the lump was. And they slowly milk the foreign body up out of the snake. And then eventually it gets to the end. And at first, it almost looks like an IV bag because it has like some wires coming out of it. And I was like, oh, it's probably a heating mat. You know, it probably ate the heating mat. That was my first thought. Mm-hmm. And then they get a set of hemostats clamped onto it. And you see it's a beach towel. It's a giant beach towel. And they pull this entire beach towel out. And that's when the camera turns and you see a cute younger girl in like a little flowery dress.
That's what grossed me out. Is like she's holding the towel.
Right, and she's holding the hemostats too. So I'm wondering if she's like an off-duty vet, or maybe she's the snake's owner. And the story does not tell you how they got to that point. It doesn't say, oh, this snake was found in someone's garage and they took it to the vet because it was acting weird and it was a wild snake. It doesn't say, oh, this was an owner who had a towel in the snake's cage because it was cold and the snake wound up eating the towel. It doesn't say, and probably for obvious reasons. But my deductiveness would say that the girl with the dress that's not in scrubs probably was the owner. And yeah, I'm sorry, but we all keep carpets. We are all Morelia junkies. That's what we do. That's how we all became friends, for Christ's sake. Things happen, like Justin's chondro eating a piece of paper towel, or a big, scrub python eating.
Oh, no, that was entirely stupidity on my part, just so we're clear.
But shit happens, right? Or better yet, a big scrub python swallowing multiple puppy pads. Things happen. But a beach towel in the wild, and where's the after footage? Where's the snake made a full recovery? The snake's doing so well. CBS report. Yeah. There's none of that. You just see a snake on a table like this. So yeah. I'm perturbed, to say the least.
You're someone really rustled your jimmies.
Someone really grinded my gears.
Someone pissed in your Cheerios.
I don't know. I mean, without any sort of context, it's hard to say.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
So
I think most of us that have dealt with carpets and stuff, or even I guess snakes in general, have dealt with a foreign body like that at one point or another, or probably will, depending on what you keep. You know, if you're keeping loose substrate, if you're keeping paper towel, if you're keeping puppy pads, doesn't really matter.
I've had snakes die from ingestion of particular substrate. You know,
man, I got one for you. I got one for you.
Thanks.
Do it. So I got this beautiful pair of Okatee corns from Dark Horse Horticulture.
Ooh.
And the little male, you got to be really careful. Obviously, in this hobby, there are a lot of viruses and diseases that are well known.
Burmese python herpes.
What's it? Python herpes.
Burmese python herpes.
Burmese python herpes. I mean, that was my nickname in high school. I'm just saying. With corn snakes, you have crypto. Now that can go to a lot of different rattlesnakes. Pitiophis are notorious for it. There's a lot of crypto in the Pitiophis hobby. I shouldn't say a lot, but it pops up more often than others. And so this beautiful little male corn snake, and I inspect my animals. I'm not, I don't boot their snoots and shit, but like I keep an eye on them.
Bullshit.
Yeah, I'll boot them. Only on Tuesdays and days that I didn't want. So I noticed a big lump in his stomach, like right in the stomach, and I'm like, oh shit, what's going on? So immediately start soaking. Nothing happens. He has like a nasty poop, and I'm like, all right, this is like the telltale signs of crypto. This is all right. So I'm gonna wait. So I wait 4 or 5 days. Obviously, immediately put it in my quarantine room. Start cleaning every enclosure or every other tub that was in that rack. Ammonia, dude, all the works. And I'm like, fuck, this happened. Okay, so I've got all the Pitiophis. I have all the corn snakes. I have almost every rat snake. And so I'm sitting there, I'm freaking out, and I feed it. Okay, well, it ate, and then it goes a day, no regurg. That's the first sign. You're looking for a regurg. Just looking for a regurg. Just looking for a regurg. A couple days go by, and he hasn't pooped, hasn't regurged, and I'm like, all right, maybe this is a good sign, but the stomach is really soft. It's a really soft bulge. And this little motherfucker shits out the biggest piece of Carefresh you have ever seen in your life. And I swapped over to Carefresh because Justin said it was the best. I'm allergic to aspen. I'm allergic to grass. I'm allergic to hay.
Well, then I guess you don't have much choice now, do you?
Well, no, I went back to aspen after this. I only use Carefresh with like a couple snakes just to like try them out. I was like, all right, let's see how they do on this. My humidity is so high that the Carefresh, if it gets a little bit wet, it like expands. And so if I'm not here for a day
it
or
hugs
two,
moisture. So
yeah.
You do have to kind of change it. You have to change it out more than aspen, that's for sure.
Yeah. So little homie's name is Crypto, and but yeah, he pooped out a big old piece, and he's been bulletproof. I mean, it was 6 months ago, 5 months ago, and he's perfect since then. But yeah, it's just and I use those little paper plates. I cut them into little triangles, and that's what I feed on.
That's what I do with some stuff too. I'll take like a box and cut it and just use it as a plate, just for that very reason. I'm weird about loose substrate when feeding in cage. Like the likelihood of something happening like you had happen is probably fairly slim, but it can.
Sure.
Like
so
like I talked about enrichment, and what I'll do, like I'll take a Pop-Tarts box or whatever snack box and cut a little hole in it, big enough for the snake to get in and out of if it has a meal in it. Put the mouse in there, and then that kind of forces them to cruise around because they can smell it, but they can't find it. And so I'll watch the bears look around for a minute trying to find that thing.
One might consider that enrichment.
Exactly. That's what I consider.
Yeah. By the way, Dan, Negative Knobtails.
I had a beautiful trio of Weeder-Eye Cinctus, probably for about a year. What a cool species! But had them at the right temps, tubs, the right sand.
How old?
Did the whole gamut. I got them when they were a little over a year.
Okay.
So they were hitting that 2-year mark.
Sure.
And they weren't doing good. They never really ate well for me, and I know they're not. They stress out really easy. They do little push-ups and stuff. Well, I gave them to a buddy that does leopard geckos. He's more inland, and I was like, hey man, you know what? I think my humidity is just too high. They would always have their creepy fucking dead skin shed thing where it's just like sitting in there like a little extra gecko.
Mm-hmm.
They shed well. No water balls. I kind of did I did a lot of research on them, and dude, they just started locking up. He already got a set of eggs out of one of the females.
Excellent.
Just so stoked to see like some animals that, even though I didn't get to take them to that maturity and see it happen, he cooled them, and dude, now they're just pumping out eggs. It's so beautiful to see that. What a species, man.
Yeah, man, it's awesome. And now they're officially their own species, which is
I saw something about that. It's now just Nephrurus
Cinctus,
right? Yeah.
They took out so it's Nephrurus wheeleri and Nephrurus cinctus, flat out.
Cool.
I was talking on THP the other night about how the more I see Phil posting stuff about them and seeing his Instagram, the more tempted I get to investigate.
They're a treat.
I love them.
They're strikingly intelligent, which you can't put too much intelligence on some of these reptiles.
Right.
They kind of know what's going on.
Totally.
They stress out easy though. They really do. They're not. I've bred 4 species of day geckos. My kid could be sitting in the day gecko just smacking on the thing, and they're gonna lock up. They're gonna do their thing. You're gonna get eggs. They're bulletproof.
Is that why you don't see many knobtails at shows, Phil?
I think it comes down to
the stress factor.
Well, yeah, but I think it's mostly the price and the guys who produce them in volume, i.e., the West Coast of the United States. They're not going to come out east. They're just not.
Mm.
And I honestly think that a lot of the East Coast of the United States issues with knobs is because of, I don't want to say it's humidity, because what's up, Jay? Is I spray mine a lot, and then the tub gets all fogged out, and people are like, "Oh my god, it's too wet." And I'm like, "No," because they love that wet sand because then they get to make tunnels and burrows, right?
Yeah.
And it still dries out after a day or so. But I think it has something to do with barometric pressure. I think the pressure might be higher. Or wait, higher is rain? No, lower is rain. I don't remember.
I think it's lower, but yeah.
Because the West Coast of the United States is a lot drier, the pressure is different. I think that has to play a factor in it. I tried to do a mini season this year with a couple of geckos, and my boy was like, "Yeah, let's do this," and the girls were like, "Get the fuck away from me." And I watched them, and I would let them fight for a little bit, and I was like, "All right, I'm splitting you up." So I'm gonna wait a little while longer, and then I'm gonna throw them together probably next month, maybe. As I drop my phone.
Yeah, man, I've only seen them at a show a couple times. I'm lucky enough that the Austin Herps show, which Austin's about 3.5 hours north of me, Nathan Hall with, I should know the name of his company. He did the Gecko Symposium. What is
I remember the name. Brain fart.
But he breeds 90 different species of geckos. And
right.
He breeds all the Nephrurus, and so he'll bring them to shows. But that guy also he's in Austin.
Okay.
Dude, I'm gonna feel like a savage if I don't say the name of his company.
That's all right. He'll forgive you.
I've never actually had the chance to talk to him. He does a lot of the Coleonics, Austin Reptile Connection.
That's right.
Yeah. He's got some cool shit, man. He's been on a few podcasts and stuff. He's got some really neat stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But he'll bring them to shows. I think that's the other thing. Price. I was selling almost completely gargoyles at the show that I vended. They're so easy to keep, so they're an easy sell. Lots of people love crested geckos. They see a gargoyle gecko, they want to know a little bit more about them.
Sure.
You can pawn them off. I sold the first gecko I sold of the day on Saturday with $1,000.
Nice.
So
excellent.
That's felt good, but also it's hard to see them go, man. I'm just like, I can keep that one too.
Yeah.
But gargoyles sold well, and they kind of range in that I guess like 125, $100 being the cheapest, and then average being 300 to 400.
Right.
And I almost sold out. I sold 12 geckos. So
Cool.
it was good.
Hey man, any show where you could pay, where you recoup your table fee?
Yeah, that's a good show.
Any show where you recoup the table fee, you're good.
And that's the thing about the herb shows, man. It's like both days, and they cater to you. Anything you need, it's like $110.
Perfect.
It's just, and it's a huge
I've
venue.
heard so many good things about it, man.
Yeah.
If they got bigger and did more United States wide,
right,
and handled things as professionally as they do, and then they did like a super show, it would blow anything out of the water. Just the care that they have for their vendors is just it's second to none.
Excellent.
We don't have that luxury here in South Carolina.
Yeah.
Speak of the
Y'all got NASCAR though, man, dude. Don't even worry about that.
Oh God. Totally makes up. No, we have college football, which people lose their minds over.
Well, sir, this is Texas, and we have all the football.
I mean, I'm a Carolina fan, and I can't even talk shit anymore because we suck so bad. That like Clemson fans roll into work with their Clemson gear and stuff. I'm like, hey, y'all ready to beat it? Y'all ready to spank that ass again this year? Because
speaking of southernness,
speaking of spanking ass,
I would like to make a statement, if I may, gentlemen. So, those of you who don't know me very well, I grew up on a horse farm, and this horse farm was previously. My great-grandfather started it as a dairy farm, and as a side gig, we did some livestock-related vegetables. So alfalfa, corn, soybean, that kind of thing. And we had 2 silos. Now, when I was a child, one of the silos was collapsed and fallen apart. The other silo, the top had actually been ripped off in a horrible storm, decades after we had used it. But it was still filled halfway with unusable grain, predominantly corn grain.
Oh my God!
Now,
here we go.
When I was a child, he gave me rules of the farm, and I had carte blanche to do whatever I wanted. It was my farm. And in terms of the horse paddocks and some of the cattle areas, we had
none of the goats were safe.
What's that?
Said none of the goats were safe.
None of the goats were safe. So, so we had at any given time probably about 100 head of horses, and then we probably had like 15 to 20 cattle, depending on what they were. Which is funny because when I moved to Florida, my dad warned me. He says, the Herefordshires down in Florida are not the same as these, Holsteins that we have up here. And I was like, okay, Dad, I won't go near the Florida cows. But he warned me, and he said, listen, don't go to this fence because it's electrified. Of course, we touched it. Don't go over here because, the ditch falls off. I don't want to have to pull you out, that kind of crap. But the one thing that he always told me as a kid was, don't you ever let me catch you in them silos. Because if you fall in, you're going to fucking die. And some years later, he brought it back up again and said, hey, don't you let me catch you playing on those silos. But if you're going to do it, bring a buddy.
Am I right?
You just got permission.
Thank you.
So we went up there as kids with a buddy.
Where's Jake?
What's that?
Where's Jake?
And we looked down, and it was terrifying because it's like, I don't know, like 30 stories or whatever. And the forbidden fruit. Thanks, Carly. And and then we realized there was a bunch of bats, and we got scared because we were kids, and we wound up leaving. But I am with you 110%. I did not want to fall into that silo full of grain and drown in grain.
It's just low, like 80 grit quicksand.
It takes a long time, but you're not getting out.
Oh no, you're not. You're not. Don't try and struggle. Just stick you in deeper.
Just stay still and scream at the top of your lungs.
And what's funny is those things fucking echo, so I'm sure somebody hear you eventually.
It's like a giant speaker, basically.
But I felt obligated to tell that long-winded story specifically tonight.
I mean,
Thank you.
if Justin has ever had a fear in his life, it is the death by corn.
Is that not a legitimate fear, though?
I mean,
would that not be a really shitty way to go? Like you're inhaling hard corn kernels, like popcorn, except bigger, and they have the little spiky ends.
Yeah.
Might as well just like down a glass of like gravel.
Okay.
It's
I
real.
mean, you might be able to breathe through your nose. I don't know. I'm not a doctor.
I feel like the lower you get, the less air you're going to be experiencing. It's like the ocean and quicksand all at once. Marianas Trench meets quicksand. The lower you go, the worse it gets.
The pressure.
You heard it here first, guys. Marianas Trench and corn, same thing.
Same thing.
Might even find a giant octopus in the bottom. Who knows?
All right. So
That's the problem.
now that tangent's done, what were we talking about before the corn?
All of the conversations meant nothing to me.
Oh, throw up what Carly said.
See? Beets are the devil's fruit.
Oof.
It's too real. Too real.
He's like Dwight. Yeah. Nobody farms better than the fruits.
I actually have want to hear a really funny story about a dead animal?
Sure.
So I don't know what the disease is, but there is a communicable disease amongst horses that actually is fatal, and it gives them big blistering lesions on their face and on their neck and stuff. And all of the farms in the area, you all talk, and everyone has nice. All the farmers in the area, they all talk, and they say, listen, I've got this one field. If anybody's got a sick horse, we'll bring them there, and if we have to put them down, we'll put them down. So, by the way, this was a long time ago, and as well, many people know, I am not a farmer anymore. I never was a farmer. Let's rephrase that. I don't live on a farm anymore. But sometimes you don't have the money to take your horse to the vet to be euthanized. So certain old school methods are in place to execute the animal humanely. So my father, when I was like 9, I think, he's like, hey, I'm taking you to go see something. It's part of life, and you need to see this. So he took me over to the barn, and my grandpa was there. The vet was there, and they had just put this horse on its side to euthanize it. And I watched it, and it was sad, but I didn't cry. I handled it. It's part of life. It's nature. And I realized that the animal was diseased. It was going to die a horrible, gruesome death of, pustules and boils, and it was the right thing to do. So they had a big trailer attached to our tractor, and we hoisted the dead horse onto the trailer and towed it down the road to the apple orchard. And one of the neighbors had borrowed a backhoe, and we dug a big ditch, and we buried the horse appropriately in the apple orchard. And the apple orchard was not for human consumption. It was just an old abandoned apple orchard. An angry orchard. So we buried this horse, and we get back to the barn. I get in my dad's car, and we start driving back to the house. And my dad was like, hey, I want you to know that this is part of life. Things grow, they die. It's sad, but it's life. And I understood. And then I said, hey, Dad, do you always, bury animals in the orchard? He goes, well, I mean, not always. We don't really have a lot of animals that pass away. And I said, wait a minute, Dad. I didn't know we had an apple orchard. And he just keeps driving and goes, we don't.
Turns out.
Pet cemetery.
Oh,
No. It wasn't our orchard.
Well, those trees are
Pretty much public land if they're not using the trees. I said it's pretty much public land if it's not for human consumption.
Oh, no. It was someone else's actual orchard.
This was like that's a Stephen King novel, man.
Shit,
right?
and they drove a backhoe in and dug a ditch in the back of it, and we dumped that horse in that ditch and buried it appropriately, and it wasn't even our farm.
Like I said, it's fertilizer.
What state was this in?
I'll leave that be.
My man. My first job, I was 13 years old, and I worked at pony parties, Jack Omar Stables here in Corpus. And we would walk the horses for the birthdays, but then the big thing was getting there in the morning, cleaning stalls, getting back, feeding all the horses, brushing them down, and then feeding all the things. And yeah, that was pretty serious growing up when they're like, hey, this horse, it's sick. And I was like, oh, so you're going to take it to the vet? And they're like, no, the vet comes here. And I'm like, okay, what are you going to do? And they're like, well, we're going to dig a big hole. I was like, all right. So yeah, it's what's that?
How old were you?
13.
Okay.
Dude, you were totally Sean William Scott in Old School.
Wait, what?
I said he was totally Sean William Scott in Old School.
Oh, yeah. Oh, most definitely.
Oh, yeah. Oh, dude.
Yep.
These things get crazy. I get to take them down.
I can take them
You're
out.
a dart in your neck, bro.
It was cool, man. Being that young, I was in Scouts. I was in Boy Scouts most of my youth up until I was 18. I made it to Eagle Scout. Loved every minute of it.
I was a Weeblo.
My man. I actually started in Cub Scouts, so I went through Weeblo, got the Arrow of Light, enjoyed every minute of it. Learned so much about the natural world. And so working out there, man, dude, I get dropped off at like 6 in the morning. Sun was going up during the summer, and I just had this big old, 100 acres to go out and just do whatever I wanted and walk some horses, get back, go look for snakes. Man, I was always looking for snakes and lizards and stuff.
Yeah.
It was a shit.
Well, my farmland, I usually don't tell people because they don't believe me, but it's actually New Jersey. And nobody realizes this.
Nice.
When they think of New Jersey, they think of like Newark and Jersey City and like
Jersey Shore,
the armpit of America. But New Jersey is or was the Garden State. So
Yeah. Beautiful.
now my old farm is now like 400 individual mansions. Like they just developed everything. So
Jeez.
yeah.
this room.
I've been through that kind of New England, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York area only once.
The Megalopolis.
It's cool, man. It's a really, really pretty area to live.
It's cool to like see the sights, see the scenery, and like you can go to 5 states in like 4 hours.
Yeah.
It's
really hard for me to get to the next city in less than 2.5 hours. Well, that's not true. There are many towns.
Yeah.
Texas is quite large.
Yes, it is. I'm dying to go to do, and Justin and I have talked about this a bunch of times. I want to do a West Texas herp trip.
Yes.
And I want to go up to Lubbock and hit the playas and shoot some sandhill cranes. That's what I want to do.
That would be pretty neat. We in
the sky.
We got to listen to Waylon Jennings the entire time we're in the state.
And David Allen Coe the entire time.
Yeah.
Hey, you can listen to Pantera too. I mean, they're from here.
Fuck yeah.
So I'm supposed to be possibly going on a trip in September to Snake Days with all the old school heads to do the Alterna hunt.
Nice.
It's not official, mostly because my work is very pressing.
The Beards hunt. And
the Beards hunt. Dude, so supposedly some of my local guys gave me a rash of shit. I picked up some subox.
I saw them. I messaged you immediately.
They are so
the biggest hard on.
There's
someone on it right now, and I'm like, if I had the money, I'd snag them.
They remind me of and I'm just saying this, but like the kind of inquisitive breadlight do it. I don't know. Some of the python species do it.
I've heard a handful of people relate them to pythons. Like they're more
they
like
have a little more
a rat snake. It's weird.
Yeah. I got something special supposed to be coming in next week. Not gonna tell y'all because it's a surprise. But I picked up a snake today. A guy posted something and I was like, all right, I have to have that. I'm trying to get all of the North American rat snakes.
Nice.
And I'm only short Well, I'll just say it doesn't matter. I'm supposed to be getting a captive born and bred locale specific F1 Baja rat.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
So I'll have the Rosalie. I'm not sure how to say it. I don't have any black rats, and I don't have any Everglades rats, even though those are all still now considered Easterns. Still kind of on the obsolete mindset. And then I don't have any bears, but that's because I'm going to get mine from Justin. So
Rock and roll. So
this year's the year, I hope.
We all do, my friend. So if I stumble across a legitimate red Everglades rat, you want it?
It's everything I ever wanted. Yeah. Dude, I love, I don't mind wild caught stuff. I would prefer something smaller.
Yeah,
generally don't take adults out.
I'm not going to take it, you know?
Dude, I love anything as close to the actual natural specimen that I can get.
Sure.
I'm a morph guy too. I can't say that I don't love morphs. Dude, I love skittle corn snakes. I don't always remember exactly what all they are, but dude, they're just so amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I should have, if all the plans go through, I should have Stenocolis this year.
Cool. That's awesome.
I got a buddy that has one that I'm supposed to be getting from him, but that's a weird animal to keep, and there's not a lot of them in the hobby. But yeah, so anyways, I got a rash of shit for picking up my Transpecos because I got Wild Rose Pass, which are from the Davis Mountains, and they're beautiful. And I got them from a buddy that's actually in Florida, and he's a sweetheart. And we worked out a great package deal on it. I'm going to send in some animals, and one of my local snake guys that I'm finally kind of becoming friends with was like, yeah, why didn't you just wait? There's more Cellbox out there. There's more Transpecos rat snakes on the street than any other animal out there.
Nice.
I was like, I don't know. And I read Dusty Rhodes' book. I guess the adults can be kind of fussy to get going. You want to kind of try to look for babies.
Yeah, that's what he was saying. See, I've talked about that because I've got a buddy's going out herping that area that bears are, and he's like, hey, if I find any, do you want any? And I was like, if you've happened to, somehow end up with a small one, like a yearling or smaller, I was like, then yeah, but any adults, I don't want adults because, like I said before, here and on the podcast, like they've already beat Darwinism to an extent. Like they've already made it, so they've already crossed that finish line. Why pull that out? Babies, the likelihood of yearlings and neonates making it is pretty slim.
So low.
So,
and then establishing that
right,
animal that has all of its predetermined mindsets is going to be so difficult. But yeah, man, you guys aren't wrong. Texas is such an amazing state to go herping in.
That's the top of the list. West Texas is where I want to go. There's not anywhere else in the world I want to herp more than West Texas right now.
That's cool, man. It's without having gone there. I've been a couple times. It's hard to explain what it looks like and what it feels like. It really that desert, hot during the day, cold as fuck at night. Just the 25 miles of just looking at just flat ground, but there's a giant mountain in the back, and it's amazing.
Do you or have you ever gone down to the Franklin Mountains?
So is that going to be down by Elephant Mountain? Where exactly is the Franklin Mountain?
North of El Paso. Still south.
Okay, so no.
Still south.
I have never been more. The most west I've gone is going to be like Marathon, Alpine, Terralingua, Davis Mountains area, down to Elephant Stool Mountain, stuff like that. Big Bend, of course, which is amazing. They got fucking bears there, dude.
Dude, tarantulas. Dude,
there's some tarantulas out here.
City boy.
So I've been on the hunt for a particular banded rock rattlesnake. So it's Crotalus lepidus clobberi from the Franklin Mountains. And I have one, and he is approaching 10 years of age, and I have yet to get him a girlfriend. And there's like 3 guys that breed specifically Franklin Mountain locale. And every single time he posts or they post babies, I miss it, or they sell out, or there's no females, and I keep screwing myself. So I'm almost at the point where obviously you can't remove them from the natural area, but apparently there's a lot of area around there where you can, and
Yeah.
I think you have to do that.
The cool thing about Texas is, with the exception of 3 species of reptiles, which I'm going to say is the Louisiana pine snake, the Texas indigo, and the reticulated banded gecko. And then also there's one species of snapping turtle, and I'm not going to be, I don't remember exactly which one it is. You can get a license to collect any of these things. It's a non-game specific hunting license.
Okay.
Those geckos are like the U.S. equivalent of like a leopard, right? Is that the ones I'm thinking of?
Yeah.
The
So
Coleonyx?
the Coleonyx ranges from here, goes into Arizona. So we're going to have Coleonyx brevis, which is the Texas banded geckos, and I've worked with those before. Then the reticulated banded gecko is much larger, kind of the size of a leopard gecko. Brevis is probably the size of like a Pictus gecko, maybe a little smaller actually.
Mm-hmm.
Gold dust day gecko size, like almost identical in 6 grams.
It'd be so cool to find those, man.
Yeah, they're really neat, and they're so similar looking.
Yeah,
except for their size.
because I remember seeing them in the book, in the Dusty Roads book. It's like, man, that'd be awesome to be road cruising and finding that.
Yeah. Is that a brevis or a reticulated?
I think that's the brevis. It was 40 minutes southeast of Phoenix.
Oh yeah, perfect. Yeah, that's where you're gonna find your brevis.
Yeah.
I believe you can collect reticulated. Yeah, it's brevis for sure.
That's so cool.
Actually, as you start going more west, you'll start getting into the vertebralis. Or
You know what?
that right?
That might be what it was.
And then there's 3 different subspecies of those. I've worked with 2 of the subspecies. I've worked with the California, the South Baja, and then if you're in Arizona, then that's probably an Arizona vertebralis. And then from there it goes south into the
Directly in between Phoenix and Tucson.
Yeah.
On the border of Tonto National Forest.
Yep. Yeah. That's the variable banded gecko.
Yeah.
See, I wonder how far or low on that tree, like those and leopards, are like removed from one another.
They're all in that eublepharid family. They all have eyelids.
See, that's just
Goniosaurus,
wild to me that you would have those, and then you go like way across the other side of the world and have leopards, and then you go even farther than that, and you've got Chinese cave geckos. It's very, very odd.
And hey, Phil, I just had to double check myself. It's variegatus. So that's cool. Yeah. So Justin, think about this. Go one step further. Go to China, the Hainan Island, Japan. You're still looking at eublepharids, and you have all your Chinese cave geckos.
Yeah, and the Japanese too, right?
Yeah, Japanese. So you have your Yomashime, your Orientalis, your Aranus, Haianensis, all of those. They all kind of populate all that area. I don't think they get to Malaysia. I could be wrong. And then up into Japan, all the way up into the mountains.
Awesome.
It's wild.
And dude, they're so similar.
Yeah.
I've had at one point I had Eublepharis hardwickii, 3 species of Coleonyx, and then Goniosaurus haianensis, all breeding in kind of separate, obviously separate climates.
Yeah.
They're also individual as to their care and needs. So the variegatus are also your brevis or Huron desert. They're pretty much knobtails.
Yeah.
In fact, I kept them identical to my knobtails.
Cool.
And then your Goniosaurus, you pretty much keep like a terrestrial crested gecko. And then your hardwickii, you keep like leopard geckos, except for I didn't keep mine on paper towels. I kept mine on like a eco or sand mix.
Right.
But then you go south on the Coleonyx, man, you get into the Mitratus, the Elegons, and they're a whole nother bag of tricks. They're super high humidity. The Mitratus are the ones I still have in my office at work. I have a big bioactive that they breed in there, and it's cool because I'll just find babies every once in a while and cup them up, bring them home. Yeah, they're fucking, dude, that whole Coleonyx genus, in any of the eublepharids, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with leopard geckos because they're beautiful, but any of the natural occurring species are such a treat to keep, man.
Yeah, and I think
really,
like
really rewarding.
Those have overshadowed so many of that. Like people don't realize like there's more in that group than just leopards.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I wish. So the hobby. I think Riley hit on this at one point, talking about how this kind of obscurity is kind of starting to stand out.
Yeah.
And man, I hope it does, because
we're
there
definitely
are
seeing a shift.
Really cool
I think we're definitely seeing the shift. People are starting to, maybe because of the internet. I'm sure because of the internet, but also because people are kind of just tired of sort of. I think everyone, to a degree, that aren't ball python breeders are like, they're looking for something. They're looking for more. They want to diversify. They want something outside of cresteds. They want something outside of leopards.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's why those Halmahera, the giant geckos or whatever the hell they are, those are, like they're getting really popular now. It's just, I think it's just sort of the ebb and flow and evolution of the hobby as it goes on. People just, they yearn for more.
Anything in that gayer genus, people are loving them, man. Even like I have the friends in Australia that like there are small little gayer species that are like knobtail food, and people are starting to get into them. Yeah. In Daytona, I saw binos geckos for sale, and I was like, "Wow, that's cool."
And the Heteronotia.
Yeah, and he had a deli cup with like 10 of them, and it was like $12 each.
Mm.
Okay, and
those are all parthogenic, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, those are badass.
It's super cool. Super cool.
The micro gecko thing has kicked off. That's like a thing now.
I think it's just because you can add them to, they mix so well with other, a lot of people keep them with dart frogs. They do so well in setups with other stuff. If you want like a legitimate zoo sort of exhibit where you have multiple species in a display, like they're perfect. They don't take up a lot of space. They don't take up a lot of food.
Yep.
They do their own thing.
And now
I bred.
What's that?
Oh, I bred the gold dust day geckos for. That was the first species I bred when I was 14. I bred it for like 5 years, dude. I love those things. They're bulletproof. That's why they're established in Hawaii. They're bulletproof.
Yeah.
But the pet store I sold all my babies to kept them with dart frogs. Never had a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Always. I mean, such similar climates. Now that the heat was a little bit higher towards the top, and I guess dart frogs don't really like that much heat. And I'm not versed in dart frog at all. But I mean, it's a doable thing. Never had issues with them.
It's funny that the gold dusts are established in Hawaii, because so are Aratus, which are the green and black darts.
Mm-hmm.
If you go into like the mountains of like Oahu, you'll find Aratus like hopping around.
Wow.
No idea how they got there, but
that's right. I remember reading something about that.
Like you can buy, like people sell Aratus, and they're the Hawaiian type.
That's fucking cool.
They don't really look any different from Costa Ricans or whatever, but
no,
it's pretty cool. Grab the chameleons. Nice. Congrats.
Woo.
It's a big old litter.
The going back to those micro geckos, I don't know if I'm throwing them under the bus or not, but Trace Harden, before he got out of the amii, he started a small colony of micro geckos to feed his amii because he wanted to diversify, So even guys and gals doing stuff like that, I totally rock and roll,
I know multiple people in the Leachianus world. Leachianus almost never eat bugs. I don't care if somebody has a little snoot booper out there that just loves its crickets. Good for you. Mine don't. Mine never have. Mine never will. But in the Leachianus world, people breed mourning geckos and crested geckos to feed to Leachianus.
See, that makes sense because they're so big. Like they're That's clearly not a chasing after flies and smaller fare. That's going for bigger game.
Yeah. How many giant stick bugs is it going to eat?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. They're if you see that, you look at their teeth, you look at the way they hunt, they're ambush predators. They're not looking for bugs. They are not.
You feed them a freaking pound of dubia.
I can get my guards to eat dubia. I have yet to have a leechie eat anything other than another gecko. I think when I was on the podcast, or before I was on the podcast, I sent you that picture of my leechie. I had some of my coleonomics in a little temporary tub. I was taking them to work. I brought them home just to kind of, inspect them, take a good look at them. And I said, you did video of my leechie sitting there on the ledge, looking out of its cage,
staring. Just waiting. Yeah.
Yeah. No, they're predators, and they do great on crested gecko diet. You can minimalize their care to such a simple thing, and there's nothing wrong with that. But you can also express their needs. There's other things they do in the wild that we can still give them.
Sure.
There's a few. Oh, go ahead.
So that's something I'm interested to try. David Brahms with his clutch of green trees, that the ones that were being stubborn, he was dipping the tails in, I think, Pangaea or Apache, and then putting it down. Which, I mean, makes something that's got all the stuff they could need.
Yeah,
Good idea, and it seemed to work out well for him. I don't know if it made a massive difference or not, but I mean, when you're talking about a baby chondro that small, I'm sure it helps them in some capacity.
Right.
Yeah. The only concern would be the sugars in it.
Mm-hmm.
If their body's able to break down those sugars, if it's designed to be able to. But then again, look at the animals they're eating in the wild. If they're eating small birds and stuff like that, what are those birds eating? So there's a lot of that's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
I stick to the cutting of the mice.
Yeah, like I was like, man, if I get a clutch of corns, which I think 2 of my corns are gravid, I was like, man, I'll keep 2 babies and I'll cut all of the pinkies for one, but then not for the other one, and just see which one grows faster.
That whole study was done on baby corns.
Yeah, that's what you're saying.
I mean, like I said, I feel like the crazy guy that's like telling everyone this is what's happening, and everyone's like, yeah, whatever, dude. And it's like, until you see, the proof is in the pudding.
Yep.
I've seen it.
I've seen the lot.
I think we're the critical thinking of what we're doing and how we're keeping stuff is I think that next step. I'm all about simplifying. I'm all about tubs. I'm all about ease of care, but that's not easy for them. It's easy for me.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So I try to diversify my Pitiophis. Almost all my Pitiophis eat chicks off and on. I try to give them at least 1 chick a month. They love it, dude. Bull snakes go batshit over chickens, man. Heard a lot of people do tilapia and stuff like that.
A good friend of mine who just got his first false water cobra, he fed it its first tilapia, and he was petrified about it just having a ton of substrate sticking to it.
Yeah.
And I told him, I was like, dude, get a really big paper plate.
Yeah.
Perfect. And what he wound up doing is, I told him it was ballsy because he's going to get bit, but he picked the snake up and put its face in front of the long side of the tilapia. And he said that maybe he's anthropomorphizing, I don't know, but he said that the snake looked at him and looked at the tilapia fillet, looked at him, and then just flipped it down. But he noticed that it was either dumb luck or the snake's intelligence clicked in, where once it got the first third of that tilapia fillet into its mouth, it lifted its head up like a gaboon viper, and then it swallowed it vertical in the air, so nothing stuck to it.
Nice.
And I said, well, I mean, either if he keeps doing that, then obviously that's his technique, but it could just be dumb luck.
Yeah, that might be a thing. Maybe that's like a fish thing they do so that the wet animal doesn't. It might be.
Yeah. Or I even thought about it too, is that you think obviously Hydrodynastis is highly aquatic. I'm sure they're catching fish in water, right?
Yeah.
They're not getting fish on the beach. So I'm wondering if because they need to breathe out of the glottis, if they're periscoping out of the water and eating it that way because they don't want to accidentally breathe in water through the glottis.
Yeah.
I mean, this is my thought process.
That could be a thing.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say is I get there's a local bait shop by me because we have sport fishermen all over South Florida. There's a local bait shop that does really decent sized shiners. Mm-hmm. And I'll get like 5 or 6 of them from my bigger cottonmouth, and I'll just literally dump the bag into his water bowl, and he'll come over and he'll grab one, and it's flopping around, and he'll take it out of the water and go back up onto like the cave or like the cork bark log, and he'll do the same thing, but it's more gaboonish, where like the snake holds it up in the air, opposed to him inverting like that.
Yeah. Where are your copperheads from?
Copperheads, I only got one, and it is a South Carolina locale.
Is that the ones that tend to be a little bit darker saddles with kind of reddish?
The ones down here are light.
No, it's lighter. It has some pinkish hues with a lot of gray. I think I just got an ugly one. But it's when you think of like the traditional Southern Copperhead, that's what my snake looks like. I've had really, really pink ones. Obviously, the more west you go, the more crazy cryptic, like the Osage and stuff like that. But my one is very blasé, to say the least.
Yeah, we get the ones we get here. You know what a buckskin Thayrai looks like? Mm-hmm. They have almost a tan color with like a peach. They're really neat.
Yeah.
That's one of the. I think there's so much that we can do with North American animals.
Yeah.
They're so diverse. It's such a similarly climated country in certain areas that these animals spread so far that they're almost just completely different animals as you go.
I wonder if he's okay.
He really doesn't like copperheads, man.
I know, right? What's funny is that one copperhead was a gift from a friend, and at this point I have all of Florida's venomous except for my coral snake passed away sadly.
Okay.
And my eastern diamondback passed away sadly. So I'm probably not going to get another coral just because I'm done feeding snakes to snakes.
That sucks, man.
It's horrible, but I do want to get another eastern. I kind of want to catch my own like yearling, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But that copperhead that my friend gave me, it won't shed well at all. I've tried soaking it. I've tried rain chambers. I've tried just spraying the cage down more. So I had a CB70 rack from Sea Serpents that I just never used. I literally had it was like a junk drawer, And I wound up putting him in there with a mix of jungle mix and desert blend, the crushed walnut.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I gave him no hide, no rocks, no nothing. I put in a piece of cork bark and a tiny little water dish, and he shed out perfect.
Huh.
So, I saw there was like condensation on the sides of the tub, and I was like, you know what? I'll leave it. He's doing better in the tub.
Let it happen. Yeah.
He was in the vision cage.
Yeah. There's tubs create very interesting microclimates.
Yeah.
And they can kind of, especially something from Sea Serpents, really quality rack.
Tip top.
That's everything I have is Sea Serpents, and I'm super stoked. Justin, I think working with MP caging and stuff like that. It's amazing.
My rack comes next week.
That's I'm excited to see what they produce. But man, Sea Serpents does such a good job. Chris is so insane and OCD with his quality.
Yeah. And
if you've got any problems, he's like, call me up. Send me a text. Send me an email. Let me know what's up. I'll replace it. It's not a problem.
Yep. He's actually I can go so far as saying a good friend. I've been hanging out with him since before he had Sea Serpents.
That's awesome.
He used to own a bar, and we used to go to the bar 3-4 nights a week and drink with him and good old times. And then he wound up selling the bar, and he's like, hey man, I think I'm going to breed some berms and breed some boas. And then it just snowballed. But I'm going to say it because it's going to happen. I don't want to psych myself out and be like, oh, I'm going to do this, and then it doesn't happen. No, it's going to happen. As soon as I get my tax return, I'm having Sean from PKs and Exotics. He's going to design me a arboreal venomous rack.
Nice.
So he's going to inlay individual key locks into the shelves, and hopefully Sean's still watching. He's going to inlay individual display key locks into the shelving unit, so that when you turn the key, the bar comes down and prevents the tub from opening. So
just like the little lock for the glass. You just have one of those cylinders in each one.
Yeah.
That's smart.
Yeah, so what we do, I'm probably going to be a bougie fuck and buy Cambro tubs, because I want the clarity, And I'm a Sterilite junkie. All my tubs that I have, Sterilite. All my carpets are in Sterilites. I got venomous and Sterilites. But I'm excited because I want to do a 2x3, and I want to do pairs of arboreal vipers.
That's badass.
So
I've swapped over all the Vision tubs, just for I can pull them out and throw them around and wash them and take them in the garage. I got a sink out here, and I'm not worried about cracking, bending, any of that. Sterilizing, throw all the baby tubs in the dishwasher. Wife hates it. It's all right. It's purchasing quality products. I think that's kind of like also part of that expanding the hobby is kind of getting people to understand if you spend money, it doesn't matter what you're putting in it, but if you buy quality product, you will find more ease in your care.
I say it all the time: buy once, cry once. You'll thank yourself after the tears are dry.
So Justin and Jake were talking about incubators. I have an incubator that I made, works great. It's a big ice chest, heat tape, water bottles. I use some UHMW material, which is an ultra high molecular weight material for a heat soak.
Cool.
And dude, it keeps temp like it's badass, right? Like it works perfectly. But I'm just waiting. The heat tape's put in there with aluminum tape, and it's got a probe, and it doesn't have the best thermostat. It's a good thermostat on it. And I'm like, man, I think I'm gonna have to get a hot box. Like, I've got black pines. They're not gonna be breeding for a while, but it's like, am I gonna feel real good putting a clutch of black pine eggs in this thing?
Yeah. Do you know your locality, your blacks?
I don't. So when I got mine, I really, really, really went through 3 clutches the guy had produced. He had some Mobile, Alabama ones. And at the time, I was kind of just like, oh, black pine. These are great. And I picked out the 2 blackest ones. One of the ones that had the least amount of pattern. And then my female has a pied section on her chin.
Yeah, I've seen on Instagram. It's gorgeous.
Yeah, so that's kind of what I went for with them. A little bit of my pick in my brain is like, well, you got to get some locality specific ones too.
Cool.
Most of my Pituophis, I have almost all of them are locale specific. Some of them are not. With San Diego's and stuff like that, you don't have that much luck finding anybody working with. So I do have wild type, but I have some like striped albino stuff.
Cool.
And stuff like that. I've got one locale specific morph in my Pacific Gophers. They're from Selma, California, and it's a hypogene. There's only one person producing them. That's Jason Nelson over at Envy Reptiles. And I have a pair, and the female is visual, and the male is heterozygous. They do this thing where in a clutch, some of the babies will have different colored eyes. They're really neat. Well, one will be solid black, but you'll still be able to see the pupil in it, and the other eye will be like the kind of normal reddish, kind of reddish orange color.
Wow,
those are pretty neat.
That's pretty cool.
But man, dude, Pituophis, they're the best. Y'all need to get them.
I had a leucistic albino pine, I think it was.
Southern pine, yeah.
Bubblegum pink.
Yep.
The meanest snake I've ever worked with. And it's hilarious because it's literally like powder puff girl pink.
Yeah.
Right? I actually gave it to my ex. I don't even know if she still has. I haven't talked to her in 10 years, but
they
good now, Justin?
Huh?
Are you good now?
Yeah, I was trying to find. I got these foot warmers, but I'm using them for hand warmers. The temperature.
Oh, I was all, what in the fuck did you just?
The temperature's dropping quick, man.
Dude, he walks away. He gets a jacket. He comes back. He's got a big bag of popcorn. Now he comes back. He's got foot warmers. He's putting on mittens.
Gotta go get a shipping heat pack and use that because these things aren't cutting it.
I was all, dude, I don't know what you're talking about. It's like 78 degrees right now in the shorts.
No, it's gonna like freeze tonight here. So.
Well, it is. Let me see.
Here we go. Bingo. I got something in my sleeves.
My man.
Wrong way. There we go.
I'm going to grab a beer real quick, guys.
I feel like an assassin.
Here you go. 52 degrees in Boca Raton. I'm in shorts and flip-flops.
Well, must be nice because it's about 40 here, and it's only getting colder.
Oh, man. Dude,
I had to upgrade. The hoodie wasn't cutting it. I had to upgrade to the
real
Carhartt.
Carhartt.
She's worth every penny, dude.
So first I'll say that the tangents tonight are wonderful. I'm loving the tangents tonight.
It's all about tangents.
It's all about tangents.
I'm
also going to say that this Monte Cristo 50 is a phenomenal smoke. It goes out pretty quick, but it has great tobacco flavor. It's got a great draw. I don't know if I would pay $30 for it like they're supposed to be, but nice. Maine. Have fun with the moose. But I will say this, though. Now that I'm beyond the halfway point, it started to crack like a son of a bitch.
Yeah, the draw on this is really tight. I finished the Roma Craft, and I've switched around too. So
this Placentia has been absolutely delightful.
Yeah, you're still going perfect, man.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
And look at that wrapper that just came off with no business.
Perfect. That's the way to do it, boy. That's the way to do it.
I thought even the little one came off good.
Oh, good.
Oh yeah.
So what do you guys think about people? I got a couple buddies that smoke cigars. When they get it, they open it, smell it, get all about it, cut it, and then they pull all the wrappers off right from the get-go. They got to get them all off. It's got to be a bare cigar when they're smoking it.
That's how they do it in Cuba, or like the factories and stuff too. From what I'm told, and they just apparently America is the only country in the cigar industry that actually cares what people see, what they're smoking. Because most people just take it off right away, and then if they want to know, you're just like, oh yeah, it's this.
Because hashtag branding.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but we love brands. Like, we love brands. I mean, that's it. We're faithful. We're loyal. We ride for the brand. My father taught me that at a young age. You ride for the brand.
When I talked on the podcast, I talked about building reputations and like, you don't build your own reputation. Other people build your reputation for you by word of mouth. And so vending the show, excuse me one second. I got these really neat clear deli cups and filled them up with sphagnum moss. Everybody that bought a gecko, I filled out a whole card with lineage.
Beautiful.
Signed it, dated it the day that it was sold, printed out a receipt. And I got these rad gift bags. So, you're walking around with your gecko outside so the sun doesn't, rip its eyeballs in half.
And you have a stack of bellies and you drop the stack.
Yeah. Doing this thing. Oh. Yeah. And so I got these big, cool, thick craft paper gift bags and like close them, tape them up, and we put the name of whoever bought them on them. And man, at the end of the show, people came up there like, that was really cool that you did that. How much did you spend on all that? And I was like, less than $20. I don't know, fucking nothing.
Yeah.
They're like, we saw people walking around with your gift bags, and we asked them, what is that? And they're like, oh, we bought a gecko from Badlands. And
take it a step further. Get a stamp made, like a big stamp, rubber stamp.
Yeah.
Stamp those bags.
That's what my wife said, to get stickers put on every bag.
That too.
Or better, how much would it cost to get 100 bags made?
That actually have your name already on them, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh no, the stamp would kind of be cool because it's like there.
I
still love it.
My brother came with his crested geckos. He's like a crested gecko fanatic. And dude, we did the same thing. If you bought a $30 crested gecko, or if you bought a $250 crested gecko, or a $1,000 gargoyle, like, it don't matter. Everybody got treated the same. And
customer experience, dude.
They were so appreciative of it. It was really cool.
What was that? That Cox sent something like that. He found like the old box that I guess is Super Dwarf from Hartle came in.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it was like the shredded cardboard in the inside with like this Nike shoebox looking sort of design with the, the Reach Out brand on it and everything like that.
Yeah.
Pretty badass.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was like, clearly you sunk some money into that stuff, but
sure.
Yeah. There's a lot we can do to mirror other industries to create that experience.
Of course.
Now, I don't plan on ever being like some big time breeder. This ain't my retirement plan. But I still do want to create a quality product, and for people to appreciate it.
Yeah, you want to give them the full experience. You want them to have a great experience. You want them to, again, going back to the branding and the word of mouth, how great is it going to be when they say, oh, I got this gecko from Chris, or I got this gecko from Chris because, and he did this and he did that and we did this and he filled out a lineage card and amazing.
Yeah.
Dude, I am shocked. Like I used to vend for multiple different breeders and shops and stuff. And like, whether the shop allowed it or not, I always did it just because I thought it was the right thing to do. But I would always tell people, hey, I see you have 2 kids, you got a stroller, you're doing all this crap at the show. If you want, I'm going to write your name on this deli. I'm going to put it behind the counter. When you're ready to leave, let me know.
Oh, yeah.
People love that. And like, that's not hard to do as the vendor.
No,
it's not costing me anything,
No, it seems like a common courtesy. Like, yeah, you want this guy? Not a problem. I'll hold it here. You don't have to walk around the show with this thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's something I learned a long time ago. Was just I'll hang on to it, And I understand some people get weirded out and they're a little paranoid. And they go, oh man, he's going to sell it to somebody else, and then say, oh, I lost it, or oh, he's going to sell it to someone else and give me an old switcheroo and give me the
stole it,
runty one. But you know what though? But like, sometimes have a little faith in people, Yeah. Have a little faith. I mean, and that goes down to like doing like some of the venomous shows in Colombia and stuff. Is you couldn't leave the show with your venomous until you were ready to go. So they had all this venomous sitting in a room. Well, I'm not gonna give it to the venomous handler. I'm just gonna hold it at the table. When you're ready to leave, then I'll give it to the venomous escort, and the escort can put you out. So it just makes sense. Just keep it there. It's safer there anyway.
It's definitely safer with you than in some of the other people in show's hands.
Right. I mean, let's be real. That's why Daytona doesn't have venomous anymore. It's because too many assholes didn't want to deal with the venomous escort. They didn't want to have someone else bag their snake up, so they'd sneak it in the bathroom and get bit.
That actually happened?
That happened so many times that they stopped doing venomous.
Really?
That's why. I don't care what people say. I don't care what Wayne Hill says. That's why. It's because it happened too many times.
I don't know if it's a Texas thing, but do you guys have to put the red tape around the deli?
So there's no more venomous shows in Florida, period, because as far as I know, there's less than 300 licensees in Florida.
Oh, y'all have to have a license.
Oh yeah. Extensive.
Oh, y'all have to have the proof of double bag system because of hurricanes and some of that other stuff, right?
More than I'm willing to go into on this live.
Yeah.
But for example, I would go with Jay from the jungle, and we load the van full of his animals and some of friends' stuff, and we drive up to Columbia. We do Columbia, and Justin can contest that. I love the way that the venomous show is set up at Columbia in terms of the venomous handling, because they basically dedicate a room to be the bag room or the holding room. A person who is trained with venomous, who's a venomous escort, has a shirt that says venomous escort on it, and they're standing by the doors. And you can't leave with your venomous reptile unless the escort escorts you to your vehicle. So you can't just walk around the show with a rattlesnake in your hand. That won't happen.
Yeah. So
basically you give it to the escort. The escort would hold it in the bagging room. And then when you're ready to leave, you'd be like, hey man, my name's Phil. I got those 2 delis over there. I got the 2 Atrox or whatever.
Yeah.
And then the escort would literally walk you outside to your car. I like that system. I think it's a great system. Is Hamburg, PA still walk around with deli cup?
I don't know.
The last time I've only been to Hamburg like twice, and the last time I was there, I was pretty sure it was just walk around with deli cup, and everyone had the red tape. So,
yeah. So Texas, as far as Texas is concerned, you can just go to I think you have to be 18.
Right.
That's it. And you just fucking buy a venomous, buy King Cobra, which I actually saw King Cobras at the Conroe Herbst show. A guy had U.S. captive born and bred King Cobras
for the low price of like $4,000.
They didn't have price tags on those.
Yeah. Henry, is that Jesse that we're talking about? If you're still watching, Henry, I don't know if you are. But yeah, that's I've denied because obviously South Carolina is the same way. 18, you can buy whatever venomous you want. I denied mothers from venomous snakes for their 14 or 15-year-old child. And they're angry at me. And I say, no, ma'am, I'm not selling your 14-year-old an albino monocle cobra. It's not happening. Yeah, but he's a good boy and he really wants it. Well, tough shit, lady. I'm not doing it. And then they go and they buy it from someone else. Let that be on the other person's conscious.
Sucks, sucks to suck, but you leave the table. I'm not selling you this animal. It is every bit your right to deny a sale, as is that person's right to come up and give you money for it. It's, in fact, the responsibility is on the seller to not do that. And I know a lot of people are out there to make that buck, man, make that money. It feels good. It feels good to make those sales.
Yeah, it's gonna be nice when you go to court and lose all that money because you
you know what?
Save your pennies.
I had an employer tell me one time, and this was not in relation to venomous or animals or anything, but I had an employer tell me one time, he goes, you know what? You might as well sell it to them because they're going to buy it from someone else. And I said, all right, okay. And I sold it, but it was not animal stuff. It was completely different. But there's a moral thing with the venomous. There's a moral thing with non-venomous that's not right for a 14-year-old kid.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, take this Amazon Trebo, kid. It's great for a snake.
Not even
hold it all day, hold it up your face, kiss it.
That is that you have a kid. All right, I'm gonna use Lucas Masso for example. Okay, I've only met this guy once. His mom is a very lovely lady. His family has their stuff together in terms of animals. If he wanted to buy a chondro, would you sell him a baby chondro?
Yeah,
you would, right? Because the kid knows his shit for his age, and he's going to be us one day, right?
Yeah.
He's like serious about it. It's not like a fad. It's not like the flavor of the week. Like they're still trying to figure out like what they're into.
And here's where I'm going with this. So if you didn't know him, if he just showed up at Columbia Show at your table and said, hey, I want to buy that baby chondro, you wouldn't know that he's him. But you'd hope that if he was him, that he would ask the right questions. He would show you that he does know what he wants to do and that he's going to be responsible with this chondro. I've had that scenario where I had a guy like him, a kid, whatever, 12, 13, whatever. Mom and dad were cool with it. Sure, we sell him the Biak for $250, whatever. But then there's other ones where it's like, hey, man, those are the ones that turn green. I want that one. And it's like, no.
One of the experiences I had at the show, a couple tables down, a guy was selling green iguanas. It was an imported table, but it was nice stuff. He had some really cool.
You said green iguanas?
He had green iguanas, and he had the Xanthic iguanas and the red ones.
Iguanas. I didn't hear iguanas.
But iguanas regardless. But he had some other really neat stuff. And I had my one of my adult female guards with me. She hangs out on the table all day, dude. This guy goes, just doesn't even move, just sits there.
Right.
So everybody was kind of wanted to. Yeah, they literally. It's kind of funny explaining to people that they really don't move
in the name.
They suck at jumping. Yeah. Kids come up. Oh, can I take a picture of it? Can I hold it? I'm like, yeah, hey, hand sanitizer.
Tail.
Hey, they're fine. Gargoyles, for the most part, you grab them, hang them by their tail. They're not. They don't do what crescents do. And they actually regrow their tails, which is really weird. That some of them do and some of them don't. So kids would come up, and his mom was there, and she was like, hey, these are really cool. How much are these? And I was like, well, this is a gargoyle gecko, and it's a little bit higher end. And I told her, I was like, I have some for, I had some at that point for like $80 or $100. I was like, but crested geckos, and I told her, and I gave her the whole spiel, and she's like, well, your crested geckos are like $40. I was like, yeah, we had some pet quality, cresteds, and if you breed cresteds, they're not all going to come out screamers,
right?
And I was like, we bring these to the show. I usually deal with a pet store here in town that'll pick them up. In fact, it's not even me; it's my brother breeds them. But she was like, well, I think we're gonna get a green iguana because they're only $15. And I was like, here, I'll do you a favor. We have care sheets printed out for these, but I'm gonna tell you everything it takes to take care of a crested gecko. I'll even walk to the table with you and show you where to buy the food. I'll sell you this crested gecko for $15. She was like, well, you're okay with that? You're going to lose money. And I was all like, I walked in this door.
You don't understand what you're about to get into, for the love of God, lady.
You've got a 12 or 13-year-old kid. You're about to buy a beautiful animal that you can't take care of.
Yeah.
Right? And I told her that. I was like, you yourself will be taking care of this animal. you know that. She was like, well, yeah, but he said that they just eat like greens and stuff. And I was like, yeah, they also get 5 foot long. And so we did that. So we only made $15 on that gecko. Guess what I sell him to the pet store for? $15. But now that kid has something they can hold. And we had an adult crested with us, so I showed her, this is how big they get. This is it. And that just snapped in her mind. And now I know that gecko went to a home with a kid and a mom that's going to appreciate that. Right. And not 6 months down the road when that iguana dies, that kid's going to get out of reptiles. Maybe that kid's the next, Bill Love or something. Yeah. Who knows?
Or they don't have to worry about getting stitches when they get bit.
They're not going to drop off that 8-month-old baby iguana in a cardboard box at Petco because after 8 months it still hasn't tamed down because it's an iguana and it takes time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me ask you, so at your table, do you guys offer enclosures and accessories and cage stuff or no?
So we don't, but I brought a little critter keeper to show them like this is the most basic setup you can do.
Sure. Now
we're talking about just whatever it costs to put that together, getting some, and then just putting them on the table and selling them. Just this is $20. It's $20. This is the gecko's whole life is right here. And so we're thinking about doing that.
Have you pondered like getting a wholesale account with a pet product company so that you can order like Hagen or Zip and basically said, all right, you know what, if do a lap of the show, if everyone's selling Exoterras that are 12 by 12 by 18 for $120, I'll sell them for $120 regardless of what your profit margin is. You're obviously still above your wholesale costs, right?
Oh yeah.
And set them up appropriately and say, listen, here's the enclosure. Yes, it's a $200 enclosure, but instead of the gecko being $40, it's $20, and I give you a 30-day guarantee or whatever you're doing. You're right.
We're definitely going to do something like that. In fact, we've already decided we're going to start vending 2 tables so we can do stuff like that.
Cool.
Because I don't know if you saw that display we made. Mm-hmm. And that was the other thing. We got one of the other gecko sellers. They just had deli cups on the table. Beautiful animals, absolutely high quality, great looking animals. In fact, I bought that Phantom Eye Guard. I don't know if you saw that.
I did.
Dude, cool. It's fucking cool. But they came up and they were like, I didn't sell much of anything. At the end of the second day, they're like, how much y'all make? I was all, between the two of us, selling everything, we're over $5,000 in sales. And the lady was like, what? And she was all, it's got to be your display. People kept coming up and just like, we had a whole crowd around us.
Right.
Super well lit. Really high quality lights. We had the flashing LEDs, and then also I wasn't behind the table the whole time. I got out in front of the table and started talking to people. Hey, what's up, guys? Come on over. Let's talk about these things. I'm so passionate, and there's so few avenues for me to sit here and talk about this. I work in an industry where if you talk about snakes, people can tell you how they ran. Every good snake's a dead snake.
Yeah.
So
let me ask you, this was your first show?
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be the best show that's going to be the best show mentally you ever had.
Oh, it was so amazing. It was the best feeling in the world.
I don't want to be the Debbie Downer. I don't want to be the negative Nancy, but you need to tell yourself, and this is personal, you can take the advice, you can leave, whatever, my personal opinion. I find it better with people such as yourself who are extremely passionate and knowledgeable and becoming greatly successful, that when you get into that show world, you have to remind yourself that you do love it and that these people don't know everything and they need to be spoon-fed. And you don't be like me where I'm jaded at shows where the person comes up and they say something and I'm like, fucking go on Google, man. Don't be me. And that's something I have to work really, really hard on now, is to not be that guy, because I'm so burnt out from trade shows and expos, and it whittles you down, man. It really does. So
but my thing, obviously I got a young daughter, and my work is very demanding as far as time and hours and commitment. So I've already told her, I was like, I'm not ever planning more than vending 2 shows a year. I'm going to vend the local show, and it's going to be as long as the Herps guys are doing Corpus. It's actually Robstown because of I don't know if you've ever heard, Phil, our ridiculous Corpus Christi, Nueces County law. No pythons, no boas, no varanids, no venomous, of course, no venomous. And then there's 4 species, and Justin, I was wrong about this. There's only 4 species of rear fang we can't keep, and it's 2 species of boiga, false water cobras, and then 1 other snake that I literally don't even know what it is, which is so odd. Like I can have a boiga signed on, and but I can't have a mangrove snake. Can't have a freshwater cobra or false water cobra, sorry, but I can have, I think it's Filurio, the Barons racers. There's actually snakes in that family that have killed people.
Yeah.
From their venom. You can have those. Those are fun.
Crazy.
You can't have a ball python.
Dumb.
It's and I think Jake's talked about it. It's that the temperature thing.
Yeah.
There's a thing running around saying that a person's dog was ate by a reticulated python in the 80s and all that. Who fucking knows what it really is?
Right.
We also have a really weird pet law. You can't have more than 6 pets if they can get within 100 feet of another home. So if they're in your house, you're fine because they can't get through your locked door. My bull snakes haven't learned how to pick locks yet. But if you have tortoises in your backyard, you can have 6. 7 tortoises is a county offense. So,
wow.
Dude, it's such a weird set of laws, and it's been fought before. TX Arc has come in and talked to him supposedly. I'm not fully clear on the extent that people have gone to. I don't know. It's fucking weird. But so Robstown, the town next to us, which is a 20-minute drive from my house, you cross that county line and then or a city line actually, and there's all the ball pythons and stuff. So that's where they actually hold the show.
Cool. Yeah, man. I think your approach to it as the love of the game and doing the 2 local shows a year, I think that's the best way to go about it, man.
I think just from a business standpoint, that's the best way to go about it. Because local shows, like, you don't have to worry about gas, you don't have to worry about lodging. Yep. A bunch of money.
Yep.
And it's and to some extent, you want to build some level of exclusivity once you do have that name.
Yeah.
So once. If I am able to build up a reputation to the point where people are like, oh, I want to get geckos from this guy, well, I can be like, okay, I can show you which couple animals I'm willing to sell and ship, which is, carnivores just don't produce a bunch of babies.
Yeah.
And leeches, I mean, last year I produced 4, hatched 1 out early this year from last year's clutch. I did get eggs just recently, which is awesome. They're from 2 killer adults. But I wouldn't even take them to a show probably. Like, it's you've got to. There's a whole level of explanation and responsibility that goes with any animal. Telling somebody, hey, this thing's gonna live 40, 50 years. It shits the size of a chihuahua. It eats nonstop. It's super nice. They're super sweet little cool animals, little fluffy green pillows. The second it decides to bite you, you're gonna lose a finger. Mm-hmm. That could be because it's Tuesday at 3 and you didn't squirt water on it before you grabbed it out of the enclosure. There's so many little idiosyncrasies that go with them that usually when I sell them, actually I usually end up just giving them away to friends, which is like bad because people are like, I want to leech it. I'm like, here you go. But that's that. I like that side of the hobby too. The trading, the fun, the excitement of just getting somebody else pumped about it is a blast. I'm definitely not quitting my day job. I'm not. This will never be a career for me. It'll never be my retirement plan. It'll always be a collection first.
And that's a great way to think of it, man. That's the best way to keep your sanity and to not be jaded. And I like it.
I can't be bored of it when I go in the room that I specifically built when we built this house. We designed this room with outlets up high and lighting a specific way so that I could say, hey, I'm going to build my collection. Let's see if I can recuperate some of the costs from this.
Sure. And you know what? I don't even look at it as breeding or producing to recoup the cost per se. I look at it as fueling the passion.
Absolutely.
You know what I
Paying
mean?
it forward.
Yeah, explain that to Katie.
It's not her passion.
You know, I'm lucky with my wife. I don't think she would care if I never produced a baby one. I've had snakes and lizards, and I was breeding bearded dragons, and when we started dating, when she was 17 and I was 18. I've always had them, so it was just always a part of our life. And there was many years, 15 years where I didn't have any babies. I just had like a gray banded king snake or a boa. I had a boa for 12 years.
Yeah.
So
and some people just don't get it. Like my current employer, a couple of years back, I haven't bred anything in years and years and years. And my current employer, he's like, dude, you have all these animals. Like, you don't make any money off them? I was like, no, man, it's my hobby. It's my passion, my love. And he just couldn't fathom it. He goes, you put all this time and money and effort into it for no reward? I said, the reward is the fact that I love this stuff.
You get to do it every day.
Right. And then
on your own terms.
Right. And now he's at a point in his career where he has adopted photography. And now he's actually at the point now where he's teaching seminars and courses internationally. And I have to stay behind and run things at the shop, which is great. But he now gets it where he doesn't get paid for his photography. He doesn't get paid for these trips that he goes on, but he's still doing it because it's what he loves,
Yeah.
So
there's definitely that, and I could probably narrow down in my collection if Nueces County came in and said, you know what, you can't, and so in order to breed, in order to sell in Texas, as far as I know, you have to have specific permits. You have to have a tax ID license. So I have to run this as a business. I have to pay my taxes. Every gecko I sell, I have to pay 8% back to the state. Every year I have to file my income tax specifically for this business. And it has to be run like a business. I got to keep my paperwork. If I never sold another baby, I can literally go in that room and say there's very few things I would get rid of. Very few. I would still have these animals. I pull my males out of my guards for 2 months out of the year because I don't want to overproduce. I don't want to put down the stress on my females.
Right.
If they did, if they didn't produce this year, that's okay.
Yeah.
It's not going to hurt anything. It's like with the snakes. My goal is to own every species of Pituophis, with the exception of Louisiana pines. I can't have them. Well, that's not completely true. I can't. Anyways, it's this Texas thing. I can have them, but it's a weird law. And then every species of North American rat snake, which I kind of would have that anyways, because now I get to have my own little zoo in my house, and I get to take care of these animals.
How many species of North American rat is there?
So according to current taxonomy,
this week,
as of 2002, so you have your eastern rats, you have your western rats, you have your Texas rats, you have your corn snake, your Slowinski eye, you have your emery eyes, and then there's the Midland rat. So there's 7 in Pantherophis, and then we have the western green rat snake, which is Stenocolus, and then there's 2 species of Bogatrophis. Bogatrophis, I'm not entirely sure.
Bogatrophis.
About 2 species of the boogers.
3 species of boogers. Fresh.
If you go by old taxonomy for Obsoleta, then you get the Melanorums, which are from your Midland, West Texas. I'm sorry, also Baird's rats. Don't forget about the Baird's.
I was waiting.
Then you would have black rats, yellow rats,
well, he said
gray rats.
Pantherophis.
Yeah, you would have all of the blacks, grays, yellows, Everglades. There's another one down in Florida, and I'm gonna be there's a. I thought there was another one in Florida, another subspecies in Florida back in the day.
Now you got.
And then there's the green rats or the greenish rats, which are intergrades.
Fucking Henry. Sorry to cut you off, Chris. Fucking Henry. So many rat snakes. That's his way of saying the only good rat snake is king cobra food. Thanks, Henry.
Hey, you know what? If somebody is out there and they breed corn snakes, that's all they do is breed corn snakes, and they use them for king cobra food. Good for them because they're furthering the king cobra hobby.
Yeah.
I'm not against it. I'm not going to be the guy that's going to say don't do that shit. Like,
No. Dude, I love Gonyosoma. I love Gonyosoma. I think they're awesome, but they are straight up king cobra food. Straight up.
They also sound like a venereal disease.
It does. It kind of does. It kind of does.
yes, it does.
Yeah.
You know, there's no negative aspect of this hobby. You want scaleless corn rat hybrids that are fucking neon white, awesome, beautiful animal.
Yeah.
You want scaleless ball pythons, beautiful. I'm not gonna hit you hard or give you shit about it unless don't tell me that's not a hybrid. Don't tell me that your creamsicle corn snake isn't a hybrid with the emery eye. You know what you're doing and breed it and sell it. Now, some of these people that force hybridism, Justin, we've talked about the Chihuahua and the crested gecko thing.
Yeah.
If you're selling them as such, I'm not going to give you a hard time, but I don't necessarily understand your logic. You're talking about animals that produce very few females, so you've got to go out of your way to do it.
Yeah.
It's I don't even know if y'all know this. Gargoyles produce about 90% female, right?
Really?
So yeah, and it doesn't matter what temperature you incubate them at; they're almost all female.
That's weird.
So
I didn't know
if somebody was like, yeah, it's kind of neat, but it's kind of, you can really suck people into, oh, this is a female, it's worth more money, especially the crested gecko guys.
Yeah.
A person could do that. Your higher prices are going to be on your males. If you had a screamer female, you'd be selling her for $700 to $1,000 as a baby. If you saw Pores, it was a male, $1,500, $2,000 for something that's really, really just like primo, good genetics, line bred. I produced 4 males this year. This whole year, I produced 4 males.
Damn.
That was it.
All right.
One of them was from a parthogenic egg.
Really?
Yeah. So gargoyles are gargoyles and leeches both produce a lot of partho. And a lot of times you'll see your parthos end up being male. Now, supposedly leeches you can temperature sex dependent as far as incubating. I don't think that that's completely true. I think that there's just more females out there. Again, I haven't seen, I don't know, I incubate at room temperature, which in my room it's about 76, 78 degrees. I've produced all females, but I think they just produce more females.
Yeah. Or you know what it could be? I've always looked at it as, I didn't know that about them producing more females, but I look at like a lot of knobtail breeders because they do 2 eggs at a time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the exact percentage, but the majority of the time it's a boy and a girl. Really? Oh, yeah.
That's pretty cool.
The majority of the time, and regardless of temperature, all of that. Some people say, just like leopards, the Hotter's female?
Hotter's male.
Hotter's male. Okay, regardless. They say, oh, you can still do that and there's a higher probability. But from what I gather from my research is that the majority of them usually come out a pair. And I'm wondering if the gargoyles are the same thing, where we know that one boy can breed multiple females.
Yeah.
You're an island gecko. You've only got so much carrying capacity. Who knows?
I think there's also something to say in that, as they do produce a lot of partho babies. So maybe it's just more females. The partho egg that I did hatch was with a female that hadn't been with a male for, as far as I know, since she was born. Her first egg that she laid was she was a striped black and white.
Nice.
Excuse me. She's one of my favorite geckos, and she produced a orange blotch reticulated male. Wow. He's over a year old and is maybe 10 grams. He's tiny, and he'll never. It's almost like he was never meant to make it. He'll always be in my collection. His name's Lucifer. He's meaner than batshit. He's fucking crazy.
So he's over a year old. And he's only 10 grams.
He's tiny. Yeah, he's literally he's about this big.
Wow.
It's so weird. but he's like kind of my case study as to, okay, so Partho makes it, this is what you get. And maybe, he won't eat bugs. It's nothing you can do to put weight on him.
Right.
He just doesn't eat. And it's, and I kind of have waited for him to die. It's sad to say. But like, I was like, man, when that gecko dies, I'm not going to be like, oh, not Lucifer. His name's Lucifer.
Thank God.
I would be like, oh shit, well, he's dead. I mean, I never expected that egg to hatch. She laid one fertile egg, and that's how it went. And,
he had a good run.
He had a good run. Yeah, he had a good run. It's such a weird species. There's a lot with gargoyles that they get grouped with cresteds a lot. Really, they need to be grouped more with leeches. They're so much more. I mean, they can barely climb glass.
Really?
It's just,
they
have these really sharp nails. Yeah, their lamellae just like doesn't work. They can, and I won't say that they can't. It is possible, but they're so different. And I understand why that species, it was all Rhacodactylus forever, got broken down to now it's Corolopus, Rhacodactylus, and Miniaro gecko, Minio, whatever Chihuahuas are now.
Yeah.
But then I still think somebody needs to go do some work with leeches, because leeches used to be two subspecies, and that was the insular, all of the GTs, all of those hopes and lies that everybody spread, and then all of your insular geckos. Everybody is convinced that every little palm tree they still know the lineage of, sure, but they're so different. Your yates and pure GTs from your big name breeders really look different and have different size to them and different characteristics, whereas the insular animals are much smaller, much more colorful, act a little different, don't have the aggression.
Right.
And I think those need to be back in the subspecies or a separate species. But then everybody's going to lose their mind because they're 4% this, 10% this, 18% this, all that. Right. It's like, dude, you're breeding them in fucking boxes.
They've done the microbial DNA testing on it?
I have no idea. And I almost doubt it, because New Caledonia doesn't want people there. That's, gargoyle geckos are going to be, if they are not already endangered, will be and will at some point be extinct because of overmining of nickel. The area where they're from on the main island is a French colony, and it's a nickel mining area, and they're blowing that shit out of the water, dude. It's going to be gone before you know it.
Yeah, but you think that the New Caledonian government would have their own people that they want to find out,
As far as I know, they don't even like people coming over and taking pictures of these things.
Yeah, but like, think about this. I mean, I'm a kind of a geography nerd, so I'm all into that shit. But think about honestly, I know plenty of people that if it wasn't for the geckos, they wouldn't know New Caledonia existed.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's the fact of it.
Yeah, it's. I mean, there's so many neat little species out here that. I don't know. The research. I wish the research would be done. I don't think there's enough people out there doing it. Whether it's going to break somebody's heart or not. Maybe if it breaks up the hobby and people get split into two different things. I know the green tree python thing happened, and there was some subsecting of subspecies.
Right.
But it's like the rat snake thing. Do I agree with it? Not really. I really don't like seeing them lumped into these just couple of species. But I think, again, Riley talking with them, you can't really refute science without better science.
Right.
So if they're doing microbial DNA studies on these animals and say these are the same animal, they're just different localities and they generate different looks, maybe it is what it is, and you're not going to get past it unless we're going to micro study everything down to individual looks beyond just microbial DNA studies, beyond DNA studies. Then how far are we going to subsect everything? Well,
it's funny you bring that up, because that paper that just came out on the knobtails splitting up the wheeler eye.
Yeah.
There's they didn't. I mean, maybe they did it on purpose, maybe they didn't. But from what my friend and I were looking, but my friend lives in Queens. He's the one who sent it to me. We were examining the. Because he's part of James Cook University, so he gets like the extended papers,
Oh, nice.
And there's so much data that's like way above my pay grade, like leaps and bounds above my head. But we're looking at the graphs because let's face it, graphs are easy to read. You know, they're made to be easy to read. They did microbial DNA. I think it was 5 different specimen of Wheeleri, whether it be Cinctus or Wheeleri. But they had to have control. So they also did Asper, Amii, Shei, Levis pilbarensis, Lewisimus.
Are these like Harry Potter spells?
And Delini, right? Yeah, they're Harry Potter.
Delini.
They did those 9 ones, right? And I guess they didn't realize it, but they proved that the Levis complex are legitimate subspecies because it's less than 4% divergence.
Oh, so it's a small percentage,
right? Well, no, on the Levis, they proved that the Levis are subspecies when they were trying to figure out if Wheeleri were their own species.
That's pretty cool.
And then at the same time, they did Shei, Asper, and Amii, and then that itself proved out, and they were 8% divergent. It's like, okay, our thoughts from I don't know, I guess it was Cooper, yeah, right, Cooper. So Cooper resplit the 3 into their own species. Yes. They're like, fuck,
yeah,
he was right. The proof is in the pudding. So like, even though they were only trying to do 2 geckos, they wound up proving out that all the other shit was correct. Like
that's exceptional math or exceptional science, man.
Right, it's exceptional science. It's exceptional, and the graph they did was super great because a moron like me can easily read it. It basically was like, here's the species they tested, this is the species that they were comparing to, and then the little graph showed how much percent there was. It's brilliant.
Nice. Brilliant. Yeah, it's awesome. That's literally awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, it's real science.
And you know, you would almost look at Wheeleri and Cinctus and say, man, these are pretty damn similar. They look so similar.
Yeah.
That's the cryptic diversity that Natush was talking about.
Yep.
Like in green trees, you look at a green tree from Biak, you look at a green tree from, Wamena or Maruki area. Like, yeah, it's the same snake.
Yeah.
Biaks, no one would have guessed that Biaks are like 11%.
That's crazy.
Different from everything else, which is that's a big gap.
Yeah.
They're so polygenic. They look so different even in just one clutch of pure Biaks.
Yeah.
Exactly. That it makes, I hate to say it makes sense because that almost sounds like I'm simplifying it, but yeah, it's pretty exceptional.
There's a kid who works at Underground. I keep telling him to listen to the CondraCast, and he's a poop head, and he doesn't because he's lazy, I guess. I don't know.
Me too.
Great guy. I love the guy. His name is Brandon. He got a farmed Biak from Underground for $250, whatever. And he honestly was like, I'm gonna give it 3-4 months, see how it does, then I'll deworm and just cross my fingers, And he had a good approach of it because he knew what he was doing. He did his homework. And he's been doing snakes for a while. He's got a bunch of other stuff, but he'd never dabbled in chondros. Dude, I need to get a picture of it to show you guys. That snake has fully matured into one of the most stunning farmed or naturally occurring animals I've ever seen. And I'm my boy Andy, our boy Andy, dude, it rivals some of his designer stuff. And it's its own animal. There's no language. We have no idea where it came from. We don't know if it was farm. We don't know if it was wild caught. We have no idea. But dude, that snake is like 4 foot and stellar. A kaleidoscope of green and black.
That's what I love about like the imports and not knowing.
Right.
You can buy a cheap import. It could turn into nothing, which is likely the case. It's not going to be anything like life changing.
Don't know.
Every once in a blue moon, you get that one that's just so high and to the right from everything else, but you never would have known it looking at it as a baby.
Yep.
That's
and cracked
aspect. That's kind of, man, it's the beauty of a lot of those species. But yeah, I'm pretty jealous. Yeah, I think if I could, I'd hate to say I would only have one chondro, but I would at least have one. Just to watch the. just to watch the onogenic change, man. I'm a big fan of onogenic changes.
Well, that's one of the things about them I love the most is like the playing field with them is completely leveled. Like you could be in chondros for 30 years and not know what a baby's going to turn out to look like.
Yeah.
No one knows.
Like gargoyles.
It's not like pythons where they're like, yeah, you breed this, you're going to get 5 of this, exactly. 2 of this, 1 of this. Like clockwork. Oh, yeah, they hatched. I got it. It's like you have no idea what you're going to get.
Gargoyles kind of all start out looking really muted and with lots of yellows and oranges. But if you've been breeding them for a while, you know what you can tell. You can get a hat. I mean, I can hatch an egg and be like, I know this baby's gonna look like it's gonna be badass.
Well, Leland Ward. When I bought my Millii from him, I bought 2 babies, and he hooked me up, and I knew that his Millii were stellar. The dude loves his geckos. He takes care of every gecko as if it's his personal pet. Kudos to him. He told me flat out, he goes, listen, I know they look identical, but that one going to be hypo.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. And dude, sure as shit, that gecko is, what's it like? I got him in Daytona. It was born in July. So, dude, that thing is yellow. Yellow.
Do you breed your Underwoodosaurus or
Underwoodosaurus?
Not planning on. Are you going to breed them or just keeping them?
I have no idea what the gender is. We'll see what happens. I mean, ideally, the goal was to get a few, like to get 2 more pairs and just have a few of them. Maybe try the communal thing. I haven't decided yet. Right now, they're in a sea serpent's rack right now, and they're savages, dude. They're destroy cool. Every critter you put in there.
They're kind of. I never kept them. Did a lot of research on them, and then talked to some people that had them. They were like, "Yeah, these are the knobtails that are a little easier. Like they're a little bit more forgiving.
Hands down.
Yeah."
You could treat them like a leopard gecko, and they would be perfectly fine.
So I had a group of
what's that?
Don't tell me that.
You could, dude. I love barking geckos, man. I was one of them because I'm a knobtail fanatic, but I was like, I got them from Leland, and I was like, dude, these geckos are they're cute, they're smart, they're savages. It's crazy because when you watch a leopard gecko wiggle its tail, or you watch a fat tail gecko wiggle its tail, like the whole thing undulates. You know what I'm talking about? When you watch those fucking Underwoodosaurus, the fat, nasty part of the tail sits still, and just the tip
just wiggles. That's the thing about knobtails. And Justin, if you're going to get into geckos, I first and foremost say you get gargoyle geckos, they're the shit. But and they don't need bugs. I don't feed bugs in any of my collection anymore. I feed my females. Once my females hit 30 grams, I start feeding them Rosenthal pinkies dipped in calcium, just to start getting a little bit more in them.
Sure.
I breed late too, though. Some people are like, 35, 40 grams, you can breed females. I don't breed my females to 45, 50. But I don't give bugs to any of my collection anymore. But any of the knobtail complex, any of those, just their reactions to you. Watching the little push-ups and watching the little tails, and the first time you go in and you find that creepy ass shed, like they shed like snakes. They don't eat their shed.
Yeah.
It flipped me out, and I literally, of all the reading I had done on them, I didn't know that, and I was all, well, that's super creepy because it's like a little perfect little boop, just sitting in the
like a cicada.
Yeah.
Where they just pop out of their shell.
They almost like just molt out of it, and then it just sits there.
That's weird.
They're really weird, but they're you can draw lines to a few of these animals. You could do as little with them as you needed to, but some like subox, and now that I have Transpagos, I want all of them now. But just these little idiosyncrasies that these animals have, there's some that really stand out. And I would say knobtails are one of them. And honestly, if I had a little bit better, I don't know if maybe my care wasn't perfect or just the humidity was just, my ambient humidity was just so high, because that room will be at 60% during the summer.
Yeah.
I mean, that's it. And I had rosy boas. I raised rosy boas from a baby. I had 3 pairs and different localities, and they did fine. I did the whole thing where you don't put the water in with them. You give them water like 2 times a month for a couple days, and that's because they'll gorge themselves on water.
Yeah.
But mine did great. And then when I got my business license, I live in a wildlife preservation area. So the like where all the cranes come down and come down for the winter, they're in my backyard. Literally, they're fucking loud and they're annoying, but they're beautiful.
Nature's awesome, but fuck
Right.
Yeah, nature's pretty fuck goddamn loud at 6 a.m.
Yeah, I was gonna say nature's great except for when you're trying to wake up.
Yeah, or when they wake my daughter up. Yeah, whoo, you
Nice.
about to get that BB gun. I never did that allegedly. But the boas once so I can be vetted by the Fish and Wildlife because I'm in this area. They can come in my house. They'd have to see my licenses for the snakes I have, especially native species, Sei and Athens. Any of my Sonoran gophers is Texas native, so I have to be able to prove that if I am breeding them, I have a license to sell them. But I can't have boas, man. I just can't risk it. They could seize your whole collection, and I just. But anyways, I had cooled them. I had started pairing them up, shipped them out. One buddy took a pair, and then another guy bought 2 pairs. And one of the pairs didn't go, but both of the other pairs produced 1 5 babies and 1 3, and super cool to see something. It still happened. It's like the knobtails, man. My buddy's breeding them, and I'm so stoked. Eggs are difficult, and Phil, you know that if you've had any eggs, getting the damn eggs out of the sand turns out is a problem. They're very fragile.
Yep.
They take them all the way down. But that's part of the learning experience, and then also incubating them. You got to keep them dry, but also humid. So
that's my problem I had last year. Is that I had beautiful, flawless, textbook specimen eggs that just happened to be infertile.
Go figure.
That's the excitement is when they are fertile, and then you get that baby. It's 10 times more the love.
Of course.
I don't care if it's a $30 gecko or a $1,000 gecko.
So your buddy locked up the Cinctus already, but he hasn't had any eggs yet.
Oh no, he got his first pair of eggs. He dug out of the sand and had some problems. I'm pretty sure they you spilled them, tipped them, whatever. But now he has good eggs incubating now.
All right, cool. Let me know when they pop out.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, all 3. I have to look up the breeder I got them from, but they're all aberrant. One of them's almost completely patternless.
Okay.
They're like when I got them, I was like, I'm gonna get these ones. These are badass. Yeah. I wanted Amy A, but or Amy I or whatever. There's a purchase price. They're expensive, and I wanted to make sure that I was going to be able to do knobtails because I was worried about the humidity, and I was right. They just didn't flourish, and I've heard from some people that sometimes they do go thin and they don't eat. They go on feeding strikes. And I was like, man, I've had a lot of geckos for a long time, and these they don't feel like they're doing well. And now that I see them in my friend's collection, you're talking 15 miles, 20 miles inland, but does leopard geckos,
right? Extremely
dry room, and they're just bulletproof. I mean, these fucking things never miss feeding.
Yeah.
They don't lose their fucking minds every time you open up the tub. And now they're breeding. Obviously, he cooled them properly, and now that they're doing that, I usually think that when you see an animal breeding, especially something like that, it's because something's been done right. Though I know some species that's not the case. I'm pretty sure I've seen crested geckos fuck a water dish. I'm just saying. But
hey, let me ask you, since we're on the gecko topic. So you had mentioned that your gargs, when they come out, they're very muted.
Absolutely, yeah.
The line work, is that always like is baby line work the same as adult line work? Like in terms of patterning?
So your initial structure of the pattern will stay there through adulthood. Okay. The only thing that will muddle the pattern is if you have line bred animals that are more predetermined to be saturated. So when we talk about the saturation, it's the color coming on the sides and then the bleed out of the red. Because dude, when the best looking red babies are born, they have almost no red on them. Just maybe a little bit down the spine. But you get those.
That reminds me, not to cut you off, I'm sorry. That was like true Sumatran bloods.
Yeah.
The ones that are crazy red when they're babies, they turn poop brown. But the ones that are kind of meh when they're babies, they're the ones that get that flaming red adulthood. Okay.
You will almost never have a gargoyle that looks really good as a baby, but you'll see the pattern in its works. You'll see that the spine line and the sidelines. That's there to stay, and especially the line down the tail, which is one of my favorite things. I have some the ones that have that perfect stripe, and then it's broke right at the hips, and then the perfect stripe down the tail. Those are the ones that I go cuckoos over. Sharp, detailed lines.
Right.
Those are not the ones that sell for the most. The ones that sell for the most are the ones that just get all this crazy saturation. More red. People just want to see ungodly amounts of red.
Starburst, yeah.
Yeah. And so the genetics that I work with on most of my reds is South Tex Gex, which is Carl Vargas, who is like he produced bacon. And I don't know if you guys have ever seen the Gargoyle Gecko bacon.
Yes.
It is literally the most red an animal has ever been that had 4 legs and a tail. It's insane. I got to see Bacon in live. You know, Bacon died early, and nobody entirely knows why. And Carl's been breeding gargoyles for 20 years.
What's the one that David has? Deadpool?
Yeah.
Deadpool.
Okay.
So is David the guy from Tiki's Geckos?
Yeah.
Piggy.
So I have a Bacon line. My male is Bacon line, which is derivative of the original parents that produced Bacon.
Okay.
And his name is Deadpool. And I told that guy on Instagram once, I was all, dude, I named my gecko Deadpool way before you did.
Yeah, man. Kiki's my boy, man. He lives around here. I see him all the time.
Seems like a cool kid, man.
My roommate goes fishing with his partner Manny 3 times a week. So
he I don't watch all of his YouTube videos. I've seen some of the stuff he puts out. But how cool for me to see somebody kind of in that age group putting that much effort into it and showing passion about these animals. You gotta love it, man. It's so cool to see somebody care that much. It's funny as fuck. I've had people message me, and they're like, "Hey, your gecko, your male's name is Deadpool," and I'm like, "Yeah." They're like, "Is that Deadpool line?" And I was like, "No, it's Bacon line." They're like, "Oh, what's Bacon line?" And I show them the picture. They're like, "Holy fuck!"
Yeah.
And I'm like, "That's he bought some of his stock from Carl. Some of the animals he works with are from Carl. Now he does have and he has some great stuff. Paul over at Rack House. I have some of the Rack House animals in my collection. Some of my breeders are from Rack House, and now I'm finally at the point where I'm putting my own babies into my breeder stock. That's the best feeling in the world.
That's something I actually wanted to do. I was talking to Billy about the other day. Was doing a regular thing in the magazine about like oddball animals that have just kind of like Patient Zero.
Oh man,
like Bacon, stuff like that. Just like weird animals that have popped out. Maybe they passed. Mr. Blue, as far as the chondro stuff goes. Just like animals in history that stood out, and sort of their story of whether they're still alive or not.
Isn't there
I thought that would be kind of cool.
Interesting story behind, and I am a little ignorant on this, the albino chondros. So
yeah, there's a lot of unknown about that as far as like there's not a whole lot. There's Marshall Mendez is the only guy in the United States, probably one of maybe like less than 5 people in the world that either have had albino chondros or currently have albino chondros.
There's a lot of like fail to survive with them, right?
I'm not sure.
What was the canary?
Kofi Al.
Just a
locality.
Straight yellow adult with a white belly, no pattern.
Yeah, Kofi Al animals.
So it had nothing to do with albinism. It was just Kofi Al.
As far as I know, yes.
Okay.
Wow.
But oddly enough, people that have there's been people that have gone to Kofi Al to find more of those because apparently the population got hammered pretty hard at one point because everyone was like, "This is where the yellow chondros come from." Yeah. Most of the ones on Kofi Al are actually green.
Okay.
There have been some that have turned completely yellow and then turned completely green, went back to being green. Yeah. So I don't think people know a whole lot as far as how that whole thing works. Like maybe it's just a genetic gene pool thing.
I did a lot of reading on Barron's racers. I'd kind of planned on getting some. I don't I don't know if I end up will, kind of because now I'm just like laser focused on the Pitiophis and the rat snakes. Supposedly, if you have blue animals, there's blues, there's greens, and there's browns.
Yeah.
The browns are actually the rarest. If you have green animals and they breed, females when they're gravid will turn blue. And
Hormonal
stay
blue. Yeah.
It'll stay blue.
Yeah, that happens with green trees. Older females, they go through that hormonal blue and they hold on to it.
It's fucking nuts, dude. There's so much more that we get to do in this hobby. I always thought, it's all been figured out. This is all figured out, and it's not.
Nope.
None of this is. And Justin, a lot of this is going to end up. You're one of those few people. It's going to be on your shoulders, man. Like you're an outlet of intelligence and knowledge, and now it's going to end up being inspiration for later generations as you're doing this.
What do you mean later generations? He's inspiration for me now. Fuck.
Well, yeah, for sure. But what you are doing, what you're data mining, what you're logging, what you're putting down, people will read in 10 years, in 15 years. My kid, my daughter, who now, dude, she cleans water bowls and sprays geckos, and she's 3 years old. In 15 years, she may come up and be like, look at this article that I found on Chinese cave geckos that was in, Herpetoculture magazine #2. And Dad, did you ever work with those? I'm like, yeah, I've read those. And she's like, this is a good article. And I'm like, that guy put a lot more work into it than I did, and I've read him for 3 fucking years. Like, it's cool, man. It's such a special time. Social media, the internet, this interaction we're having now isn't possible without a lot of these things.
We're in, all of us are approximately, well, you're probably the farthest, so you're probably 1,200 miles away from Justin. You're probably like 1,600 miles from me, maybe like 50 miles from me. We're having a live chat on video where we can see each other in real time, and other people can watch us internationally on the globe and comment. It's amazing.
Exactly.
We're playing Mortal Kombat with a friend in Vietnam.
and this isn't even like space age technology as far as I'm sitting here on a $130 laptop that I bought on Craigslist.
Right.
Right. You know what I mean? This is such a reachable thing.
But because of the internet, you got a $130 laptop off Craigslist.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I know there's a guy, he ain't gonna see this, so I can say it. There's a guy in Texas that works with some very special Pitiophis and hognose snakes, and I've bought some snakes from him, and he has Mexican hognose, and it's where I got my Mexican hognose. He has axanthic Mexican hognose.
Nice.
And like 5 people have seen a picture of him because he doesn't have the internet. He doesn't get online. He doesn't post fucking pictures. And I'm like, dude, this could blow the shit out of people with all these. Look how popular Western hognose got. Now you have locale specific. You collected an axanthic animal. We don't know if it's axanthic anery. I mean, there's obviously a lot of work to be done on that.
Mm-hmm.
But you've proved it's recessive. You're the only person in the world that has them in your collection. You've got like 15 of these animals, and Reptiles magazine ain't gonna bang out a picture of these things. You know what I mean? It's crazy, dude.
Yeah, it's it's like the internet is both a sort of a blessing and a curse.
Sure.
I like to think the good outweighs the bad, even though sometimes I question that. But I don't know, man.
I think you're right. I think it does.
All the stuff that I do, like, I love being able to wake up every day and be involved in the hobby pretty much all day, whether that's cleaning my own animals and just hanging out in the room doing, little regular daily stuff, or, updating the website with, backlogging all the articles into that, or just working on the magazine, working on the podcast, doing this. It's just, I like completely immersing myself in it as much as I can.
Yeah. That's awesome, man.
And it's like, I hope no one thinks that I do all this stuff out of some sort of like selfish sort of like.
Selfish.
Yeah, I don't want it to be like that, because it's not. I mean, like I do it for the good of the hobby. Like I say it all the time. Like I want to leave the hobby in a better place than it was the day before.
Exactly.
And I'm gonna, I have the skill set to do the podcast, so it's like, yeah, I'm gonna do a podcast on green trees because I have the equipment, I have the time, I know how to do it. I'm going to do the magazine because I have the ability. I don't want it to go to waste necessarily. And it's like I said, it's all just for the love of the hobby, man.
That's
it.
where it all derives from, and that's the most important thing. I mean, for years I was listening to Morelia Python Radio. I owe a lot to those guys. I could never own a carpet python, but I'll listen to every goddamn episode about where coastals came from, just because it's just more intake of knowledge, more information. I'll read every article in your magazine. I haven't read the most recent one, but I'll read it. Like just dwarf cannons or whatever it is. You know what I mean? Just so when I was a kid.
Top, by the way, this issue.
Huh?
I said, by the way, the book review, tip top.
It's very good.
So I'm telling
you. Pictures were awesome.
What's that?
Pictures were awesome.
I gotta be honest. I was a little bummed. I was like, "Oh no, he had to cut the top of the photo."
Yeah, I was kind of bummed about that too. But I was like, it was either that or make it like a third page and then have half a page. I was like blank. So I was like, "Fuck, man."
Just another.
The knobtail was in it. That's all that matters.
That's all that matters. All that matters.
It's pretty legit though. It's very nice.
Thank you. I had fun with those pictures. I had fun with those. I had to get a baby Liga. I needed something more oily.
Baby League.
Baby League.
Almost done with this.
Down to the nubbin.
It's getting a little harsh.
Yeah, a little bitter. Or just hot.
A little bitter. I don't know. I want to be remembered. You know, I want to be remembered for helping the hobby, not for all the stuff.
Yeah.
Like, man, that article they did in the magazine 10 years ago was the reason I wanted to get into Madagascar hognoses. You know?
Right.
That's just the small stuff. You do it. I don't know. I think about this stuff a lot, and I can never figure out a way to explain it verbally that makes sense. But
no, and you just did. Is that when we had Reptiles mags as a kid, because we were kids, man, we were. It's things like that classic golden Cape Cobra in Namibia when it was the centerfold, and it was draped across the dead bushes in the Namib Desert.
Yep. That
right there made me want to do venomous. You know what I'm saying? Or you see the centerfold of the fucking blue Aratus, and they're this big on the centerfold, and you're like, wow, that's crazy. And the next page has the same frog next to the guy's thumb.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, that thing is this big. It's amazing. It's amazing. That's why when you started doing the magazine, I was like, dude, I want to help. I want to be part of it. Like, it makes me so happy, man. It makes me so happy. You know, and then I get people on Facebook. They're like, hey, man, I hate snakes, but I read your article on cottonmouths, and that thing was great. And I was like, oh, thank you so much. And it's like, he's like, I had no idea that there was this and this and this. I'm like, well, fuck. That's the mission right there.
Exactly. Mission accomplished. The job is done.
You guys get cottonmouths all over there?
No.
I don't think
People say we do, but I go looking for them and I don't find them sometimes.
I've saved one from some landscaping mesh in a community once. That's the extent of my finding of cottonmouths. Other than that, I'd never see any.
We get them.
Yeah, but you got
small
westerns.
Yeah,
westerns are totally different, bro.
Dude, that things are rowdy.
Wow, dude, fucking rowdy.
Yeah.
My boy Marcus, when he worked at the museum, he got a adult western from, I think it was Kentucky Zoo, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. And dude, no shit. People, I don't care what you think. You can disbelieve me if you want, but I have been spat on with venom from multiple species of non-spitting cobra, but nothing spat on me as much as that fucking Kentucky Zoo Western cotton. They are
full of all the piss and vinegar you could ever have.
And that's the thing is too, is it's not actually spitting the venom at me, it's striking at me so hard with such ferocity that as it strikes, the glands are contracting and it's spraying out venom all over my chin and pant legs and ugh.
They are absolutely amazing. You know, it's funny. Our rattlesnakes, our Aatrox. If you want an Aatrox, I could literally like walk outside and probably find one within an hour. I sent Justin videos of I'll be out running. I run the little trail by my house, and dude, I'll find multiple almost every single time I go run. They don't rattle their tails.
Really?
None of them do.
Even in like
none of them. Dude, big old adult females, thick as can be. They sit there and they coil up and their tails sit down. None of them rattle. It's I mean, that's not true. I'm over exaggerating. Maybe 1 out of 5, 1 out of 10.
It's a test to see how stupid you are if you mess with them still or not.
So 1 out of 10 does.
Yeah, 1 out of 10 maybe does. Yeah.
Okay, so are you a believer in the philosophy that certain breed or certain species of locality-specific rattlesnakes across North America are not rattling because they've learned that humans are going to kill them?
I don't think they've learned. I think it's the ones that were rattling were the ones that were killed. So the ones that survived were the ones that didn't rattle. It's evolution literally happening. We're watching it. Dude,
yeah, adaptation being passed it on.
Yeah, this is absolutely the most Texas of Texas. You know, there's ranches everywhere. When a farmer hears a rattlesnake rattling, they will find it and they will kill it. No questions asked. You can't lose a cow, whatever the thing is.
Right.
You know, originally the idea is that they rattled not to let you know that they were venomous and dangerous. They rattled so that cows wouldn't step on them, so that cattle wouldn't step on them, so that game wouldn't step on them.
Right.
Stay out of my way.
Sure.
A lot of people, I am in the wheelhouse of thinking that, you know, Pitiophis are really big time rattlers and hissers. They make all their beautiful noises. I don't think they do that to mimic a rattlesnake. I think they're just doing the same thing that a rattlesnake does.
Right. It wants to be seen and heard so you don't step on it.
So it doesn't. And so, dude, I find these babies all the time. I find adults occasionally. You don't see a lot of adults. Most of the time, they don't rattle. They just, or if you do hear a rattle, it's usually them because, you know, they do that neat little backup thing. It'll just be a causation of that.
Okay. And you never get any banded rock rattlers?
Let's get down to what Phil wants to really.
I might in September. I might. Okay, I'm going to be ignorant on this, and if you know, if you got to edit this out or whatever, I don't know how the internet works. Can I ship a venomous animal? Is that a thing? Can I just put it in a box like FedEx and fucking send it with red tape on it?
No. So the way it works is it's got to go Delta Dash. It has to be in a secured secured container that's locked.
Double bagged.
Yeah. So
in a container that's contained in a bigger container.
Is either double bagged with danger venomous reptile written on it, and usually the name of the animal if you want to put the scientific name, whatever. But then that can go into either a hard plastic container that's zip tied and or locked, or like a wooden crate that's zip tied and or locked.
Okay. So, because I've had a few people message me asking, because our Aatrox are really light colored. They're very very pale. And I've had people be like, "Hey man, can you grab one? Just put one of them things in a box and ship it to me." And I'm like, "No, I don't think it works that way."
No, it's got to go Delta Dash.
I don't know how much longer y'all are staying up, but I'm gonna pop this Aquatine and
do it.
Enjoy the hell out of it.
I just lit when you got up, I lit a baby Liga number 9.
Nice, dude, man. Those any of those the Jura State Legal Run, the 9s, the 52s are fucking great, man.
Number 9 is my favorite smoke, hands down. So that one I was telling you about from El Paso, that Franklin Mountain locality.
Mm-hmm.
That is, in my personal opinion, the most coveted of the banded rocks, because that Franklin Mountain range, specifically on the eastern border, is the most lacking of pattern.
Okay.
This is an older picture, but this is a fresh shed representation of my male. Let's see if we can get it.
Oh man. Oh man.
Yeah.
That's killer.
So like
That
you
is
can
killer.
see it still has some black flecking from here and there, but it's not.
Yeah.
It doesn't. It definitively is textbook banded rock rattlesnake.
That is killer.
But I can't find him a girlfriend.
That's a pain in the ass. That's the Stenocolus that's supposed to be meandering into my collection is kind of coming to me because the guy, it's a 5-year-old male, and it's locality specific, and it's in Arizona. I'm not going to tell you the locality. I don't remember exactly. Can't find a female.
Really?
And I was like, well, yeah, it's Western green rats are really rare. Just in general, they're a little bit more difficult. There's a few little humidity things you got to kind of hit on them, but there's a few people out there working with them. He was like, I'll let you take this guy and see if you can find a female. Just good luck, man. And I'm like, well, I'd like to have it because it is a collection.
Yeah, it's awesome. You have, even if it turns out to be just a good pet for your daughter, you're in business. Yeah. That's it. Did you guys?
I got so lucky.
Did you guys see there was a Mexican airline that was flying from, I think, Chihuahua to like the Yucatan, and mid-flight there was a snake up in like the like little track lighting by the overhead compartment.
Yeah, the
snake was up in that track light, and people were freaking out because it's mid-air, snakes on a plane, and I freezed that photo and zoomed in, and I was convinced it was a Western green. But from what I gather is the airport it left from is out of their range. I guess it's like they don't go as far south in like southern Chihuahua. I mean, you would know more than I would. And then I started looking at because it was going. I think it was going to Yucatan, and I was like, well, I wonder if someone was smuggling it, or they caught it and it was a pet. Maybe it wasn't even native to Mexico. I don't know. But dude, when you zoom in, it looks like a Western green.
There's also the idea of it was in the back of a truck warming up. It's the middle of winter. Guy drove 45 minutes to work. There's always those possibilities. We're talking about obscure snakes already. What's the case study done on actual how far these things range?
That's true. It's true. Especially in an area like northern Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's like there are people that will fight you to the death to tell you that there are no Texas rat snakes this far south, right? You get Emery, you get melanoherm, and I'm sorry, I'm probably saying that wrong, but that's going to be the more mid-Texas rat snake, which is now just part of Emery. It's been lumped. But Texas rat snakes are not down here. And I'm like, I've caught them 4 miles from my house. They're here. They're huge. They're beautiful. They that burnt umber color, the white belly. Those are not Emery. And well, maybe it's an intergrade or this or that. And I'm like, I don't think a lot of these animals really intergrade that often. Maybe they do. Maybe they don't.
They only integrate if they have to.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. They only integrate if they have to.
You
don't have to. Why would you?
Exactly. There's a whole, and I think there's a little bit of a lie to this, but people swear that California king snakes and I think it's San Diego gophers have an integrate spot where they breed together. It's all of them. Yeah. And I'm like, no, somebody did that.
Pictures.
Yeah.
It's the 21st century. We have video chat right now, live stream, live on YouTube. Where is
show me the Carfax?
That is just like there was a guy outside of San Diego, and I think I've told the story before about the green California king snakes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if Chris heard this story in front of
I have not. Yeah.
Okay. So this guy who's a snake keeper goes to a flea market outside of San Diego. He lives in San Diego, and he sees a little Mexican guy has California king snakes that are black, green, black, green, black, green, black, green, crazy, like neon green, like lime green. So he's like, wow. What is this? And the guy says, oh, my cousin, he finds them out in the mountains, and it's a special spot, and our family's been going there for years. He says, oh, how much are these snakes? Oh, they're $75 each. So the guy buys like all of them. He buys like a handful of snakes. And he takes them home, and they eat, and they poop, and they're all happy, and then one sheds out white. and then another one sheds out white, and then another one sheds out white. And he's like, what the hell is going on? So he goes and he takes the snakes back to the flea market, and it's a different guy running the table with the pet snakes on it. And he says, hey, man, I bought these snakes. They were green and they shed, and now they're white. He goes, oh, yeah, that's my cousin, whatever, Bob. He likes to dip them in food coloring.
Oh, that's fucking perfect.
Yep. So he made
a perfect
elaborate story. Meanwhile, the guy paid $75 for wild-caught parasite-infested cow kings.
Sucker.
Oh, that's great. There's in the Christmas Mountains here. There's a big argument going on with the Pitiophis community that the Christmas Mountain Pitiophis are integrades between bulls, Sei, and Apens, Sonorans.
Okay.
And finally, in one of the Pitiophis groups on Facebook, an actual scientist popped in and was like, "Okay, let's zoom in on your pictures. Let's count head scales. Like you guys are saying that these are hybrids. These are actual natural occurring integrades. Let's settle this argument right now." He's like, because there's so much space that differentiates the Sei and the Apens. There's no way. There's literally no way that this is happening.
All right. So real quick, if you don't know, forgive me, but what's the variation in number of ventrals between the one and the other?
Oh, I couldn't tell you.
I didn't know if you knew if it was all right. So some of the saw scale vipers that I've had. For example, there's the ones I have are Luca, or had. I have one left. The fucking mail died. Don't even get me started. I had Leucogaster. And these Leucogasters they were actually from a particular area in southern Burkina Faso. So the saw-scale vipers that are in that whole Western Africa, Ivory Coast area, there's Leucogaster, and then there is Jurdoni? No, I'm saying it wrong. Anyway, so Henry and I tubed them, and we did a scale count, and we were looking at the one of them only has 68 ventrals. The other one has 120 ventrals.
Oh wow! So it's a massive.
Once we did the count and we looked at it, we're like, okay, this is it. I think it had more. I think it had 69 or 72 or something. We're like, okay, it's Leucogaster. I didn't know if the Pitiophis were similar like that.
I know it's not that big of a separation, but the head scalation is different as far as the number of scales across the head and leading down into their nose.
Okay.
And this guy was like, look, I understand that these look like bull snakes because they have the dark coloration. They're like, these are Sonoran gophers. There's such a huge delineation between the two.
Right. They're just good looking.
Yeah. They're different. They're a darker. Oh, okay. So now that's kind of been River Road is the same kind of thing. Integrades are very, very, very uncommon. It looks like the more I actually delve into the actual locality specific hobby, that's like the greenish rat snakes. There's a really good argument to be made with the greenish, what they call greenish rat snakes, which are yellow rat snake, black rat snake integrades. Well, now modern science and new science is saying that it's actually the same species, so that's not that crazy of a thing, right? But if you look at old science, if you look at the original taxonomy, it's saying that those are different species. So now it's a naturally occurring integrate. But if you look so that's the whole refuting science with better science, and I like to be a fan of all of it.
Right. That reminds me of, there was a while ago when the Eastern Diamondback canebrake hybrids.
Yeah.
I don't even know, what do they call them? They've got a fucking name. Anyway, everyone was saying oh, this is wild caught and it's an naturally occurring integrate. And it come to find out that it wasn't. It was just dudes breeding in captivity. But at the same time, there was an overwhelming amount of sightings in the wild of cottonmouth cottonheads, but eastern cottonmouth, southern copperhead hybrids.
Okay.
And they basically were determining that through whatever means, I don't know. Again, this is all old school shit. Was large female copperheads with young adolescent male cottonmouths, and somehow they wound up proving that and then disproving the canebrake eastern thing.
Okay.
Which I thought was interesting, and the fact that you can have a legitimate intergrade, and everyone's like, oh well, they're from the same area. I'll just breed them together and tell them it's an actual intergrade. It's like, no,
yeah,
hybridized.
That's not how that works.
Yeah, that's not.
Yeah,
how
you're you know, I know locality specific guys that are straight up like, you take a Kankakee bull snake, which is Illinois, Kankakee, Illinois, and you take a Nueces County bull snake, which we're just about as south as they get. You can get your Kingsville, which is Clayburgh County. Don't remember exactly. That's just south of me. Where the Reds. I'm gonna do this right here because I can go on a big rant. The Reds come from. The Reds. If you breed those two together, you just hybridize those things. I don't care if it's the same species. You hybridize them. And I'm like, well, man, let's get real about this. You know, if you're trying to sell them as something special, at least spread the information on what you're doing, which is fine. You know, some people breed the Kankakees with their albinos to get more black in the albino, to get more white out of them. Totally cool. You're not doing a disservice to the hobby. You're not, you know, generating something that doesn't already exist.
You're producing designers from a line bred locality specifics. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if we're gonna get down to the point of calling locality specific animals hybrids, we're getting a little too anal about it, right? Like, don't sell a locality specific animal as something that you swapped up. Right. But that's where lineage comes in. That's where information on these animals comes in. I'm gonna hit the red Pitiokas real quick. I have caught bull snakes in Kingsville. In the damn city of Kingsville. They are not red. Kingsville Reds just happened to come from a guy that found our bull snakes here are very similar to the ones in Kingsville. We have what we would call the more coastal phase and the more farmland phase. The farmland phase, the ones I have, they're the Nueces County. They're peach. They're huge, 8 foot, easy 8 foot, 8 foot. Then you get to on the coast. And dude, I got pictures of these things. I'm 6 foot, and these things are as big around as my arm. As you get to the coast, so here where I live, and I find them out here, and it's been a little while. They're a little uncommon, but they're small. They get about 4.5 foot, and that's about as big as you're ever gonna find. And they're darker. They don't have that really pretty peach coloration, and that's how localities spread. That's how localities split. Well, down in Kingsville, they look just like like what we would call the farmland style bull snake. They have a lot of peaches, a lot of oranges. They're really pretty. Well, some guys line bred these things to where they're these neon orange, red, beautiful animals, but everybody still calls them Kingsville Reds. And I've had people now that I'm kind of delving into that community. They're like, hey, can you go catch me some Kingsville Reds? And I'm like, yeah, you ain't gonna be happy with what I'm gonna send you though. You know, you're what you are expecting and what actually exists in the wild. Now, that doesn't mean that there aren't some more red examples. These are all polygenic animals. You know, my daughter is not going to look like a perfect example between me and my wife. She's still going to have her own individualities.
Right.
So that's, you know, there's a lot of that. There's oh man. Now you're subsecting a subspecies of a, you know, Pitiopas cantenifer, and now you're going down to Sei, which is a subspecies, and now you're subsecting that into a million different localities, and holy shit.
And that's the same thing as Justin's neck of the woods with Oketees and a damn good looking Beaufort corn, you know, or you come down to my neck of the woods and you have, I found a normal corn in Miami, but in Dade County, but it's not a Miami phase corn, you know. Nope. And that's it. And I've found these corns 40 miles north of Miami. So
LFA gutata, I think, used to have subspecies, and I believe there was a rosy rat in Florida that had its own subspecies.
Really?
That got defunct and ended up getting lumped in. And it was one of the Dade County. I think it was Dade County, man. And I remember those rat snakes, Gulf hammock rat snakes.
It's funny.
Gulf hammock rat snakes used to be their own, I believe, and again, I may be speaking with ignorance. Gulf hammock rat snakes used to be their own subspecies.
I believe it. because they look definitively different. But
They almost look like a Sabah.
Yeah, they almost look like a Sabah. Yeah, it's hilarious. You said a lafe. That makes me happy. Justin's not laughing. Justin's a Pantheropus guy.
Hey,
but
I'm whatever the scientists say they found it.
Sure. No, I agree. I concur.
Did you just say that black rats and yellow rats are the same, brother? I'm sorry.
I don't get black rats down here. We just have yellows, so I can't comment.
Yeah.
Yellow rats are fucking amazing, and I'm so happy to have the ones I have. Mine are from Seminole County, Florida. Just neon orange eyes, and they're starting to go through their change. It's cool because mine are really pink right now.
Really?
They're like all of these rat snakes look the damn same as babies. But then you kind of see them.
You said Osceola County?
What's that?
You said Osceola County?
Seminole County.
Seminole County. Okay. Were they gray with like brown saddles when they were babies?
I have some pictures. They're gray with very muted, kind of coppery brown saddles.
Okay.
And then now they're kind of starting their change. I haven't started this. They're not even 4 or 5, 6 months old. They're starting to get this neat peach in their sides.
Nice.
But I mean, how cool is it? Okay, so we're looking at Pantheropus obsoleta, but it's now Pantheropus allegahensis. So the yellow rat and the gray rat, in certain areas, gray rats are split. They're midland rats and they're allegahensis. They're eastern rats. It depends on where you draw that line.
Right.
So I have gray rats that would be Pantheropus obsoleta spilitas, something like that. Yeah. And mine are from a Florida county. They're Santa Rosa County.
Okay.
And so modern science says that animal is the exact same species and as the yellow rats, but they couldn't be more different. You have an animal that's going to keep its pattern for its whole life.
Yeah.
And then an animal that's going to be fucking striped when it's an adult,
And you know what? And that goes down to where is whoever did the description of the animal, the scientific description, how are they basing their description? Because look at humans, okay? You can say that you have multiple phenotypes of humans, right? Black, Asian, whatever. Those snakes are not the same, and not even close in phenotype. They're not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just not, and that drives me crazy. The fact that they say, "Oh, well, yellow rats and gray rats should be the same." No,
but now that gray rat, the yellow rat, the black rat, and your Everglades rat that's neon red, they're all the same species.
Right. Now if you said to me, "Hey, yellow rats and Everglades reds, those are the same," I could join in with that to a certain degree because they're the same body structure, the same patterning, they're the same head structure, the eye structure, and we're just going off of physical appearance right now, you know. But then I would say the same thing with blacks and grays. They're very, very similar in body structure, patterning, in head shape, and all that. But those two groups are totally different, completely different. Dude, their shed skin looks different.
Exactly.
Different. So
the thing that gets me, and that's where we got to kind of get that. We need to see some better science. We need to refute that with better science, because based off of the DNA, they're the same species.
One thing that I like is guys that do chain kings. Localities chain kings. I love chain kings. They may be my favorite king snake. I had Outer Banks kings, which are a subspecies, right?
Sure.
Stichiceps, right? Stichiceps. Leberpeltis gatula stichiceps. Okay. You can clearly do the Pepsi challenge with that and a gatula. Okay.
Yeah.
But now you got all these guys that are taking locality-driven phenotypes, whether it be number of bands or faded coloration between black and gray, and they're saying, "Oh, this should be a good thing. This should be no, because on the scientific level, they're just phenotypes, not different species. While as the Outer Banks, not only does it look different, it's smaller, it's fatter, it's a totally different animal."
Yeah.
I feel
So
like
my
killing Justin slowly. He hasn't spoken in like 30 minutes.
Justin knows my Eastern King story. So I had about 3 years ago, actually more than that now, purchased a pair of Chesapeake Bay F2 Eastern Kings.
Nice.
I love the more north you go, the smaller they get, which is kind of a neat thing. I love it when a phenotype also includes size, right? Like now, not only can I say, well, this animal kind of looks like this animal, but now it's also like a quarter the size or half the size. The bull snakes
only 2 feet long, right?
The bull snake thing. I have Kankakee. I have Nueces County. I can't wait to have my Nueces County big old giant monsters, which are 2 years old right now and are bigger than my 3-year-old female Kankakee. And they all eat on the same schedule. But they're the same species, and so you couldn't have 2 more different animals.
Yeah.
But my Chesapeake Bay Eastern Kings were I bought them as a pair, never questioned it, and 3 years in, put them in the ice chest, put them in the wine cooler, did the thing, and got so proud of myself. I even Justin knows the story. I raised the temperature slowly, over a couple weeks, and these things were restless. They were eating. Of course, they were eating. They're fucking crackheads, and started pairing them up, and they're boom locking up, and they're doing their tails. And I noticed, man, these things are really biting each other, not on the heads. So the kind of like the king of king snakes, the guy that I speak out of unintelligence, the guy that has actually the biggest collection of king snakes, I think, in North America, if not the world, John Lasseter. He's lived in Corpus his whole life, and I've never really reached out to him. But finally, I was like, "Hey, man, we're in the same city. Let's hang out." I was like, "Hey, I know how to pop a snake. I can pop any snake you got. I don't really know how to probe. You want to come over here and help me probe these king snakes?" He's like, "Oh, you got king snakes? What do you got?" I told him the whole story. Yeah, so I had 2 boys, and they were really horny.
They were going for it.
Yeah.
So now we have 1 boy, but still, I'm looking for a female. Not super worried about it. Again, it's just cool to have them. But I'm not planning on ever working with king snakes. I think they're all beautiful and amazing, but that's just a whole nother thing that I know that if I get into another genus, I have to have all of them, or at least most of them.
You're that. It could have been worse, man. Could have left them overnight and opened the door in the morning and found 1 snake.
And that is the one that I have all my collection, because like I have some gophers I'm trying to pair up this year. Did kind of the same thing. Some San Diego gophers, 4-year-old female, 3-year-old male. I have been told, and I've read, if you're breeding Pituophis, you need to wait 4 years. It's not a 3-year snake; it's a 4-year snake. I don't care how big they are. It's a maturity, not necessarily a size thing. My male is every bit big enough to breed. The female's got girth. She got a girth certificate. But I called them, and I've been pairing them up, and
Stealing
dude, these. The girth certificate. My man.
For human women.
My man. I'm sorry, man, madame, but would you like to see my girth certificate? Yeah. So
I would.
Yeah, I've been pairing them up, but dude, I'll leave them together all week long. I'll feed them together. They don't. Dude, you get one. They don't. Pituophis don't. For the most part, Pituophis don't strike and coil. They kind of just know that it's dead. They don't even pin. They know when it's a dead animal. In the wild, they eat roadkill. They just kind of start swallowing it. And you're like, all right, cool. My pine snakes are different. My northern pines are jump out of the enclosure, coil everywhere, and I'm like, what? If either of y'all are ever interested in Pituophis, they get huge. Northern pines I think they're the biggest.
I think those are the ones we have here.
You have northern pines. You should. Northern pines go as south as Kentucky.
Yeah, I think those are the ones we have, and those are the ones like those in the Kankakees are like the ones that I want.
Dude, I have New Jersey from.
I want the massive massive Pituophis. We had
See,
a huge
I
one.
got-
The nature center I worked at for my first job. We had a monster. I was scared shitless of that thing, dude. It would hiss and you could hear it from across the freaking building.
Dude,
That
I
thing was
got
huge.
I got Tom Davis, black and white, New Jersey Giants. That's what they call them. And dude, my 6-month-old babies are on medium rats.
Oh,
Nice.
dude,
They are, and they're thin. They are thin snakes.
that was the
But
first I
you,
ever saw in the wild.
what's that?
That was the first snake I ever saw in the wild. I remember clear as day. I was like 7 or 8 years old on the farm, and my cousin was a city slicker, and we were down by the creek at the bottom of the property, and he goes, "It's a giant snake! It's a giant snake!" And like hindsight, we were kids. Obviously, every snake's giant, but that thing,
Yeah.
I remember it clear as day. New Jersey, black and white, just diesel.
They're big, and they're not thick. They're a well. We're not. I wouldn't say they're slender. They're not like a vine snake or something. But they're muscular. They're all muscle.
It's like a northern indigo, basically.
If Vin Diesel was a snake.
They're more like Jason Statham.
Yeah. Okay.
If I open up my tubs and they know they're not getting fed, dude, you can hold them under the chin. They'll crawl right in your arms. You can hold them. Tamest snake in the world. If they smell mouse or rat, woo, better be ready.
It's on.
Them things are real hungry.
Calling you this late, Phil.
My cousin.
All of the Pituophis, that whole family, every single species has its own thing, and it's really neat to kind of, now that I have just about all of them, to kind of observe. That's what I wanted. I wanted to be able to observe them all as they all grow and raise them and see the little idiosyncrasies, these little tiny differences between the species. It's really rewarding to be able to do that. Then of course, there's a couple of the species that just people don't work with. There's a Catalina Island. Some people say that it's just the Pacific gopher, which is Cantenifer catenifer. But according to Wikipedia, it's its own subspecies.
Dude, anybody who's played with those things, that is its own animal. I don't care. You got to pull the DNA and prove me wrong.
Yeah. Well, according to what it is, it has its own subspecies. I have Vertebralis, which is one of the Cape Baja gopher. So there's the Baja gopher, which is bimaris, and I've yet to see one ever available. And then the Vertebralis, that's, dude, it's its own snake. Those things are so different from all the other Pituophis. I wouldn't even call them a Pituophis. They're more like a rat snake. They look like rat snakes. They don't have killed scales, or if they do, I literally can't tell. And there's all these, but that's just another gopher snake. But then you go to the next and then you have the aphids, which have these like razor saw blade scales, and your bull snakes, which are massive, and then southern pines, black pines, northern pines. And so black pines used to be part of the northern pine family, but now they're their own species, lauding eye because of coloration. So, man,
it's not just a dark pigmented version of Louisiana.
Mm-mm.
No,
Louisiana pines are totally different. They're small. They're only about 4 foot, 5 foot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So Louisiana pines kind of, I would say the standout ones are going to be kind of your bimaris and vertebralis, which used to be bimaris, and then bimaris vertebralis, but now it's just P bimaris, P vertebralis. That got lumped and then subspecies, and then now it's just own species. Those are really indicative to themselves, and then your lineocaudals, which that's one of the 4 that I don't have are those. The lineocaudals are really different, and then the Louisianas are super different. They follow the attitude of the southern pines. I would say the Louisianas are probably closer to the southern pine, a little bit smaller, but very extremely sassy, really fussy snakes. But then they have these giant eggs. I'm sure y'all read about that. The biggest egg in any colubrid is a Louisiana pine snake.
Really?
Yeah, the babies come out big enough to eat full-grown mice.
Wait, bigger than Eastern indigo?
Yeah. Well, remember also northern pines are bigger than Eastern indigos. The actual record for the longest colubrid Well, not the longest bluebird in the world, but the longest bluebird in North America is a northern pine.
No shit. I always thought it was Easterns.
And that's 111 inches. It's a New Jersey northern pine.
Wow. Right.
And then I think your longest or your biggest bluebird is one of the localities of yellowtail dry marcon.
Okay.
They get fucking big.
About the Walmart pine snakes.
I have never heard about Walmart pine snakes.
So Walmart pine snakes, there was a town by where my cousin used to live up in Jersey, just on the western border of the New Jersey Pine Barrens. And it was a giant property of pine tree scrub habitat. And Walmart Corp or Sam's Club or whatever bought the property for X amount of millions of dollars. And they were going to bulldoze it and make it a super Walmart with a massive parking lot. And the local herpers got together and were like, no, there's New Jersey pines there. You can't bulldoze it. And Walmart was like, watch us. So the state said, hey, you send your biologists in. If you can find 3 viable pairs, then we'll put a halt to the whole operation and Walmart will have to repurpose the land. And they found 14 adults on that property.
Oh, shit. That's a whole bunch of them.
There's a whole bunch of pine snakes.
Yeah. So Walmart got beat?
Walmart got beat. I mean, I think they still built the Walmart, but they didn't do the parking lot because I think it was the parking lot is what encroached onto the actual woods or whatever.
Yeah.
I think that's well.
Yeah.
But the real question of the evening is two questions. One, Justin, how many people are still watching this?
4.
Okay. Because we just hit 3 hours.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's crazy because we're just having fun. And the second question is, Chris, ballpark, how many snakes do you currently own ballpark?
Oh, God.
I have a feeling it's well over 100.
No.
98.
Somewhere in the 99 and a half. I got this one stubby bitch, and she's just. No, it's probably I probably in less than 60. Every species I have in a pair, with the exception of my Cantenifer deserticola. I have a trio. My Sei I have 2 pair. Then my rats, I have mostly in pairs. With the exception of corn snakes, I'm corn snake addicted. I've got probably got 10 corn snakes. It's less than 60. Less than 60. Then geckos is probably numbers.
Because I've seen your gecko room. The gecko room, I love it. Love it.
Yeah, that whole room is where everything's at. Just all the snakes are left and right, and then the geckos are all in the back, and the babies are actually under where I was filming. Geckos are probably in the 40s, less than 50 geckos, less than 60 snakes.
One of my favorite videos is a live feed that you did on Instagram. And it was the first one I ever watched of you on Instagram. And I was like, oh, man, he's alive. Let me watch it. And I watched it. And you're talking in front of the camera. And the gecko, exoteras are behind you. And you're talking, you're like, oh, let me pull out X, Y, and Z. And you turn around and you walk over. And I'm like, holy shit, those are big exos. Yeah. They're all the 2 little cubes. I didn't realize they were 2 feet tall, whatever.
Yeah. I've got a wall of the 2 foot tall ones. Yeah. So that room, it doesn't look like that room's as big as it is. It's a 12 foot by 14 foot room with 11 foot ceilings.
Oh wow.
So when we built our house, everywhere is a 10 foot ceiling. And then in the house, it goes 10 foot, 11 foot, 14 foot, 15 foot. Because we wanted a 1-story house and we wanted big old ceilings because, we don't have to heat here. We don't have to worry about, using a heater very often. I think we turned it on once this year. So yeah, in that room, it's funny when people actually go in there, they're like, man, this is a lot bigger than I thought. And I'm like, well, yeah, the ceilings look big, but yeah. I built all those racks at work. I made them all out of metal.
Cool.
They're angle iron and wood and stuff. But yeah, dude. I had a lot of fun doing the live feed. It sucks. I got put I got put into one turnaround, got out of that turnaround, and got put into another turnaround that's 42 days long and ends on Friday. But I took this weekend. I'm off because it's just about done. But I want to do more live feeds. It's fun as fuck.
Yeah.
I love watching Justin's.
Yeah. I try to keep up with all y'all stuff.
That's what David Scheisterman at Southeast Carver Fest was telling me. He's like, man, you literally are putting out so much stuff. I can't even keep up with it. And now I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, he's probably, how far behind are people on just between like videos and magazines and podcasts are? Like, how far behind is everybody on some of this stuff? It had me thinking, it's like, surely he's not the only one, but
yeah.
Go back 2 years.
I'm sure he's not going to see it. I'm sure he's not going to see it, but I never finished Nipper's Israel.
Which part?
Exactly.
It was such a big article. I had to split it between 2 issues.
I know.
I started laying it out. I was like, this is going to take up half the magazine. Like, I got 2 parts. It's got to happen.
Gotta happen.
Hold on 1 second, guys.
Gotta happen. I got this 2-foot EXO right here. I'm thinking I'm gonna upgrade either the Veraderos or the Vanzellinis. I can't decide.
I wouldn't touch the Vanzellinis. I'll leave them be.
Yeah.
Unless you want to gut it and see what's working in there. How often do you gut a dart frog tank?
I don't.
Exactly.
I trim them. Like, I trim back the plants when they start getting out of control and they start covering the bromeliads because they'll kill them.
Mm-hmm.
Which I actually have to do tomorrow. I got to drain all the tanks tomorrow, and I got to trim back the Vanzellini tank. It's starting to get kind of unruly in there. I really don't want that bromeliad to die.
Yeah. I'm glad we brought him on tonight. I'm sorry. I feel like you're not as talkative tonight as normal.
No, I am. I'm just fucking tired.
All right. When he comes back, you want to call it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think what I'm going to do, though, when I trim that Vanzo tank back is get some wax paper.
Yeah.
Maybe even just some computer paper and put it over the lid because they do like a little lower light. Makes them a little more bold, you know?
Oh,
I think they feel like they're exposed, so I got to.
You got to look at those Zillas. The one I got from Carpet Fest from the auction.
Mm-hmm.
I put the purple maculatus in that, and it came with. First of all, I'm very, very impressed with the 21st century Zilla, like the newer Zilla stuff. I'm really impressed with it, especially those bow front enclosures. I really want to get one. But that little one I got from Carpet Fest, it has a locking latch like an Exoterra, but it's single door like a Zoomed.
Mm-hmm.
However, the locking latch is not a hook; it's a plate, and the plate turns to block it flat.
Oh, yeah.
And it has a little spot where you can put a pin in it to lock it, or you can put a lock in it if you want to.
It's got 2 pins that it comes with, and the pins have a keyhole on them. So I put white twisty ties, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I put white twisty ties on both locks because obviously it's venomous. I want to make sure that both pins are in. And but the thing I was most impressed with is in the bottom, taped to the bottom of the glass, which I thought was brilliant, is a clear plastic shroud to cover the front section of the top screen to keep in the humidity.
Oh, yeah.
And it has raised writing on the plexi that says, you know, do not put heat lamp, only use LED lighting on plastic, blah, blah, blah. But I thought that was brilliant because on that little perp, I'm going to keep it pretty humid in there for him.
Mm-hmm.
And you can open just the front of the top or just the back of the top. I thought that was brilliant.
All my stuff's in like Exoterras. That's what was available for the last few years. My Zilla that I have is my office enclosure for my Coleonyx nitratus. Excuse me. And not only is the thing that got me was the vent in the front at the bottom. It's double-sided. And Phil, I don't know if you noticed this on yours. You can actually go in and there's little clips you can pop out and you can put something in that vent if you want to close it.
Wait, what do you mean? That vent has its own, comes off?
you know where so you know where you have that little area for like a false bottom.
Right.
Then there's a vent.
Right.
In that vent, on the one that I have one of the bigger ones. It's not the 40 gallon. It's somewhere between a 20 gallon and a 40 gallon.
Okay, so
it has
on. You've got glass from the bottom up. Then you have vents. Above that is the latch for the door, and then there's the actual door. Okay.
Yes, those vents that right there where the latch is. On the inside, you can actually pop out the inside of the vent and put something in there and close it to keep ventilation lower.
Oh, okay. So
and then it has the big double.
The vent itself in the front is not removable. It's just a panel of the vent. Okay.
Yeah, the panel on the inside has two little push buttons. You can push in and pull it out, put something in there, and then click it back in. And then it has the double swinging doors, and then it has multiple little vents on top, and every single one came with a perfect little fitting plastic piece. Oh, you can close that one.
The hell was that?
Katie.
Hi, Katie.
Yeah, the Zilla and Burgers are on point. They're absolutely on point.
Yeah. And I was apprehensive about putting venomous in it because I just get weirded out with like so many latches and things being pop sealed. But the fact that it came with the pins to hold everything, I felt secure about it.
All right. I don't think she can hear us.
She can.
Excellent. What's up, gorgeous?
In his garage too.
Yeah.
I don't have a garage.
Well, catch the fuck up, Phil.
God damn.
Nice.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
I have like too much garage. Phil, you want to borrow some garage?
I wish I could. I'd take a little. Just a little.
I got
Just
our garage is like
table, my
just over.
But yeah, man, I'm happy. I did a simple setup on that perp just because of venomous. I can't quarantine outside of the venomous room per regulation.
Yeah.
I do I do my quarantine downstairs, and but I did this simple setup, and my goal is to plant live mangroves in there. What I think I'm going to do is I'm going to get manzanita driftwood per Henry's recommendation, soak it and let it get saturated with water, and then put the manzanita in there with substrate, and then have a really a good sized basin of water, and then put mangrove roots in the water itself.
Oh, that'd be badass.
And then the goal is when I get my rack system from Sean, I didn't know if I wanted to do the entire bottom of the tub as water and just let mangrove do their thing, like live mangroves. And then because Zilla has micro plant LEDs now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about if I can get those and put that in between each rack, because there's no middle bar or nothing, you know. If I can providing that the UV can get through the tub appropriately, that would be sufficient for the mangroves to grow. But I don't know if I want to do straight water because that's going to be a pain in the ass to have to dump it every couple of days, or if I'd want to do again a little basin for the mangrove plants to just sprout up out of there. But here's the simple setup for the perp I just got. So,
oh yeah,
just super simple paper towels, some fake vines. Keep it easy. And I like doing that for the quarantines because then I can see if it's got mites. I can see how it's pooping, how the urates look, the color of the urates, all that crap.
Do you lean more towards a kind of bioactive, more natural setup, or do you lean more towards a more convenient, or do you kind of fall in the middle?
So, all right, I'll say it like this. I am now at the point in my life when I want to do more bioactive. I'm going to. That's like my next step. My next step is to. I'm redoing the room right now. I'm going to try and do LED lighting on everything just for visual aesthetics. Once that happens, I want to try and go more bioactive and do some more isopods and stuff like that. I just get hesitant because the past couple of years I've had some pretty bad mite outbreaks, and it's just a pain. My thing that I've done my whole reptile career is simple but substrate. So
Yeah, I use substrate for everything.
Yeah, so I do paper towel quarantine for 90 days, and I
Yeah.
thick, real thick paper towels. I'll do the blue or the pig mechanic cloths, the ones that don't fray.
It's literally exactly what I use is those blue mechanic cloths.
Yeah, blue mechanic cloths. I'll do that for the quarantine, and then eventually I'll put in. I like Jungle Mix from who makes it? Does Zilla make Jungle Mix?
Man, you can get me lying.
It's a combination of sphagnum, fir bark, peat moss, ground cypress, and something else.
Yeah.
Use that because it holds moisture really well, but then when it gets dry, it actually kind of like hardens. So if you want to flood the cage and have like a rain cycle or something, the water stays above the substrate and then slowly goes in it. So I like Jungle Mix a lot. So I use that on almost everything. Some of the more desert stuff, I'll mix it. I'll do like a 2-part sand, 1-part Jungle Mix just to kind of give it like an earthiness to it. And then I do like cave, water dish, vines if it's arboreal, and I just kind of keep it simple.
That's like all my geckos I keep relatively naturalistic, not live plants, but like, eco earth. I like the eco earth stuff. But my snakes, I keep mostly everything on aspen. I have some Chinese beauties that I keep on eco earth, but I let it dry out. But then when I'm like changing the water, I always like spill a little, there you go. Because they want a little bit higher humidity.
Right.
And same thing with my Japanese rats. But I'm kind of like really digging. There's people out there that are doing. I hate to say bioactive because doesn't have like a false bottom or anything in it, but like bioactive tubs.
Yeah.
Isopods, springtails, eco earth, sphagnum moss, dry if it needs to be dry. The pitchofas need to be dry. You need to even kind of be a little careful when you spill water. I'm thinking about starting to go that direction.
So it's funny you mentioned that because the rack that I want to have Sean make, this arboreal viper rack, as we'll call it. I talking about how I wanted to maybe have water on the bottom with the mangroves and blah blah blah. And I'm lucky because down in Florida we actually have all 3 main species of mangrove.
Nice.
And,
okay.
You're allowed. I just did my homework on this. You're allowed to field collect naturally dropped. Crap, now I can't remember what the hell they're called. It's got a funny name. Seed pods, for lack of a better word. It has an actual nomenclature to it. You're allowed to naturally collect them, but you're not allowed to pick them off the plant. So, like, if you go to the beach and there's a bunch of pods on the beach, you can take as many as you want. You can't walk over to the plant and pull the pod.
Flip one off.
Right.
Okay.
But my goal for Sean's rack is I want to kind of do something like this in each drawer.
Cool.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Obviously I'm not going to be able to go that crazy because that's going to need filtration and all kinds of things. But if I can get something similar to that in the rack, I think that'd be awesome.
It'd be fucking badass, man.
It'd be fucking badass. And then, like, if I really ball her out and do cambros, which is what I kind of want to do, you'll be able to physically see the prettiness,
Yeah. You put those strips of like those LED lights on the side too, like Pia and Cody did with their Cambro Rex.
Right.
That'd be pretty sweet too.
My biggest thought is I'm gonna get the rack from Sean. I'll set them up basic, paper towels, fake, or just put manzanita with paper towels for now, and then I gotta figure out the lighting because the mangroves will grow like weeds as long as they have light.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's my thing is will the Zilla LEDs or some of the horticulture LEDs, will they penetrate the tub appropriately to let the mangrove actually grow? So and from what I was reading is red and black mangroves, when they're under I guess it's under 2 feet in size, they can't have too much UV because it's like
it'll burn them. Yeah.
And the reason why is because when they're growing, there's canopy.
Right.
When they're this big, there's canopy. The light isn't always getting through. By the time they're a full-grown 6-foot tree or whatever, then it can handle the actual full brunt of the sun. Obviously, I'm not that in a tub, but
yeah.
But that's the goal.
Badass, man.
And it sucks because right now I have the ability. I don't have the money, but I have the ability. I have a bunch of snakes available to me right now, and I'm like, crap, I can't buy them even if I had the money because I don't have the rack yet. And I don't want to buy sterilite tubs and half-ass it. I'd rather just save my shekel, be patient,
And
let
whole
Sean.
acid.
What's that?
And whole acid.
Right, and then
Whole acid, yeah.
work his magic, and then do it right.
There's a big thing about this hobby about being patient, and it's hard, dude. Things will pop up, and it's like, man, I gotta have it, but yeah, you gotta be patient about it. You gotta make sure you have the space. These baby snakes, they get big.
And that's like my one good friend Chris. He's like, I'm actually going herping with him in the morning. It's funny. It's 1 a.m. I'm going herping at like 7 a.m. Oh, it's so horrible. We're actually going to Everglades Rat territory, so I'm hoping like I might get lucky and find you one.
You find something about like Justin was saying. I'm in that yearling, small, unestablished. You find one, man. Let me know.
Yeah, I'll definitely text you and let you know. But I'm going out with him in the morning. His whole thing is, you can have a desire to get an animal, but don't get that animal until you at least have a plan for how you set it up. Everyone buys a baby rat snake, and you can keep it in the deli for a couple days, no problem. It's gonna be perfectly fine.
Sure.
But that's not the right way to do it. The right way to do it is to have it set up ahead of time.
Yeah, that's with Lucianis, I really push the fact these things they're tiny when they're born.
Right.
You don't want to put them in a big enclosure. They'll die. They will die.
How big are they? Like 6 grams?
No, they're probably in the 12 to 14 range. They're
Okay.
pretty big, pretty good size. But they need to be in tiny little boxes, and it's so weird. And what I've read is, or what I guess read, they hang out in like tree hollows and they stay there, and that's where they live. They'll go out to get their little food and they'll come right back. That's their spot. And you want to recreate that. So I keep mine in very small 2.5 quart sterilites.
Okay.
And then they go to a 6 quart, and then they go to 8 by 8 by 12 Exoterra, and then a 12 by 12 by 18.
How do you manage the temp in a box that small? Is it just ambient?
Ambient, yeah. My room stays 76, 78.
Oh, that's right.
Pretty much year round.
You mentioned that. Okay.
Yeah. It's just always that temp. Adults, babies, everybody's. I incubate at the same temperature, so it's cool. Like people come in, they're like, "Where's your incubator?" I'm like, "Oh, it's this box over here on the shelf. Here's my eggs." Their eggs are bulletproof, anyways. Leeches, guards, cressets are the same way. I don't know. You could probably incubate them things just literally just on your shelf. I bet you could hatch a crested gecko.
That's what I did.
They're that whole anything from those islands does the exact same thing. You probably don't even need vermiculite or whatever. I use Paralite, but
cool.
But yeah, so I tell people, they're like, "Oh, I got a 12 by 12 or a 24 by 24 or 18. It's all bioactive. It's perfect. I'm gonna put the baby in there." I'm like, you're gonna have a dead baby real quick. To stress out. It won't make it.
Get a bird's nest, stick it in the corner, put the baby in that.
Yeah. But like with my Pituophis, I know the size they get, so I've already planned out areas for V70s. Everybody's like, "Oh, a V70 will work," and I'm like, "Yeah, but I'm gonna go like V108s or 4x2x2s. I mean, some of these things are fucking big, and on some of these species, I plan on wanting to be able to see them. I want to be able to see my northern pines. I got really lucky. I have albino southerns, and I have both phases of the albino southern pines. So they have like this really cool red, creamy yellow. Then they have this really cool pale, almost white, and I have one of each. And it's the same strain of albinism, and they only come from Florida. Southern pines are going to be on the threatened species soon. I'm sure they will be.
And that's northern Florida and Panhandle. That's not a Florida pine, right? Okay.
Yeah. So I know that the black pines in certain areas were just listed as fully endangered, not just threatened, I believe. So these snakes live in such a specific microclimate that's being destroyed by us. I mean, and it's gonna, whatever happened with the Louisiana pine snake, it's not over collecting. it's not the hobbyist. It's just deforestation. I mean, there's 3 spots left in the world that they still live, and good luck finding a wild one. Now, the one snake that's on the list that I will argue with anybody is the Texas indigos. Those are no longer a threatened species. I can show you. Any given October afternoon, we can go find them in my backyard.
Good, because
They're everywhere. I can't touch them. If I touch them, I'm breaking the law. But
there's no field permit.
There is no. Those are like the most protected species in Texas. Those in Louisiana pines are just like, shh, don't touch them. Texas tortoises, the same thing.
Don't even look at it.
Don't even look at them. And so I made a mistake. I posted a picture on Instagram of me holding a Texas tortoise with my daughter that I found out on my trail, and I got the old message from the old big brother, like, "Hey man, don't touch those." And I was like, "Oh, I didn't know that. You hold one and touch a picture. You touch one and take a picture, you're breaking the law." But no, Texas indigos are fucking everywhere. There's enough Texas indigos that I think. But I mean, I'm also looking at this in a clamshell. Like, we are in their climate. This is where they're at.
Right.
Oh shit. Yeah, guys, I kind of have to get going. I got to get up at 6, and it's 12. So I got to be doing the thing.
We will. Go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead.
Closing remarks. Brief.
Closing remarks.
I'm glad Chris came on tonight. I thought it was good.
Yeah.
Some great talks. Some
Good
great
night, Moon.
Good night, Moon. A comb and a brush and a bowl full of mush.
Yeah, if y'all ever need somebody to come on and rattle on about why bull snakes are better than all the other snakes, just give me a call, man.
Oh wow, that is a.
Now we're definitely gotta go.
I mean, I'm just saying Pitchiokas are the superior Morelia. I'm just
Whoa!
saying.
Now we really gotta go.
Oh yeah, we gotta. This is
The
it.
fighting words.
Jeez, man, way to close the night.
Hey, I'm throwing stones in a glass house. I can't have anything else. So
I mean, what superior Morelia is. You can't even look at one.
I can't even touch it.
I told
All
Luke,
right, guys.
I told Luke earlier. I think it was today or yesterday. I can't remember. I told Luke that I want one of the scrub guys to make a shirt that says Somalia, the superior Morelia. So superior, they gave it its own genus.
Dude, look, if they put green tree pythons back in chondro python, you could be like, these are the best. Look.
Dude, if they just rename them, that'd make me happy. Everyone calls them that anyway. So, all right. Good night, Moon.
Night, guys. Y'all have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.